Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and other miscellaneous entities which may exist at... I see the tradition continues with me keeping my broadcast monitor on so I can hear myself talk. Infinite echo for the... something. Anyway, good morning, ladies, gentlemen, and miscellaneous entities which have found their way through space to our holy American internet, or earthling internet, I suppose would be the better term. Welcome, if you speak the language, and whatever you do, don't click on that link over there. I am Flynn Church, and this is the Flynn of Church. This is the Church of Flynn for Monday, July 9th, 2012. Hi, how y'all doing? Hope you had a good weekend. I really, sincerely do. I had an alright one. I spent most of it watching the EVO 2012 fighting stuff. Some interesting punchy-kicky going on there. Those guys are pretty freaking hardcore. You know, I like to think I know a little bit about, but they kind of make me sad. And I do mean very sad, in all the saddest ways that it is possible for a grown man to feel sad. Anyway, today on the Church of Flynn, we are going to return to Deathgate after 7 hours of trucking on Friday. My voice is still hurting from that day, and well, my goal today is to actually try and finish it tonight. And, well, I've got 6 hours set aside right now to do it. I don't plan to stop until we get somewhere near it. So let's flip off the teasers. Let's flip on DOSBox, and... wait, it's D8, excuse me. And we're going to run through the Deathgate. Now, if you remember when we left off, we're not going to watch the intro again, because there's no reason at all to watch the intro again. Yes, we will restore from Hell of a Day number 1. We were trapped in the dungeon within the Fire Realm, stricken with a poison by Cletus the 14th, and steadily dying. That is the Elf Prince something or other. Edmund. Elf Prince Edmund. And we are locked forever. We are stuck. We're going to die. One of the first things I'm going to try to do is magic the dog, because we actually got a spell called Possession, where we can pass our presence, our persona, if you will. Oh, surely not. Into an animal. The dog is too far away to touch. The spell will not work unless you have physical contact with the target. You feel a bit weaker. Your stomach turns in reaction to something you ate. Great. That didn't work. Ooh, I still have a steak? This steak is so rare it's practically dripping blood. You can't identify what kind of animal it came from. You must have grabbed it from Cletus's banquet table when you were in the thrall of the hunger spell. So I have a big chunk of meat. I'm going to give the meat to the dog. You toss the steak towards the dog. It lands about a foot away from you. The dog eyes it with disinterest. Evidently, it has eaten recently. It has been eaten recently? So what we're going to do is we're going to hunger the dog. You trace the rune structure in the air. It floats over to the curious dog, who attempts to take a bite out of it. Instead, it sinks into his body. Immediately, the dog begins to salivate. It looks around for something to eat. Anything. The rare steak lying on the ground catches the hound's eye. It bounds over next to you and rips into the bloody meat as if its life depended on it. You know, I actually have to wonder, what happens if you cast hunger on him before you put the meat down? Does he eat you? Let's find out. Just because I'm a sadist that way. Oh, okay. It just kind of sits there. So we'll give the steak to the dog. Then we will use magic on the dog again. We will possess the dog. You trace the runes in the air and place your hand on the dog's scruffy fur. The magic swiftly takes hold. You stiffen as you feel your soul passing away. Everything spins and you begin to panic. It all goes dark. The darkness doesn't last long. You quickly come to your senses, but instantly discover that they aren't the senses you've come to expect. Your vision now only perceives the world in shades of gray, although your hearing and sense of smell have been enhanced. You realize that you inhabit the body of the dog, and that the dog has been trained to track game by smell. This must be the body of Cletus's royal hunting hound. Did you expect to possess Kim Kardashian or something? I mean, you were touching the dog. That's what was going to happen. Wow, I look awesome. Buck, buck. You nuzzle your motionless body. The contact sparks the transference of your soul. The familiar dizziness overwhelms you, and when you recover, you're back in your human body. The dog looks at you with trusting, loyal eyes. Evidently, some bond was created when you passed your soul into its body. It sidles up to you, intent on accompanying you wherever you go. Well, that's good because we need to repossess it. Repossessed. Okay. I need to take the key ring. You bite down on the key and slide the ring from the peg in the wall. Let's drop the key ring. You lay the key by your motionless body. That should get us out of there. So we'll take the key ring and then use the key ring to unlock the manacles. You slide the key into the lock holding your manacles shut. A quick twist pops the shackles open. You reach over to the prince's manacles and insert the key into the lock. One click and the shackles pop open. The poison feels like fire in your veins. It is slowly sapping your strength, slowing your heart. Let's take the vice for now. You snatch the vice from the table. This dungeon is more of a holding area than a torture chamber, though it may have served that purpose in the past. Let's get out of here. You're too weak to walk anywhere while the poison is coursing through your veins, sapping your strength. Alright, well then let's switch back to the dog, who is not poisoned. No, not hunger. Not hunger. Reset. Possession. You are in one of many passages that run through the palace's foundation. A stairway leads up to the more populated areas. Oops, that's the wrong one. The stout door keeps you from entering. It's not locked, but as a dog, you lack the ability to open it. You know, thumbs and all that shit. You pad up the stairs, passing a number of alert guards. They pat you on the head and smile, but allow you to pass. It seems that this dog has the run of the palace. After a bit of exploration, which involves sticking your nose into a lot of empty rooms, you discover the original banquet room that you were escorted to. You've taken a good deal of time to locate it, however, and you're worried about the condition of your body. Okay, one of these vials has the antidote. We can probably only take one, and unfortunately, the clue to which antidote it is that it's clear. And I think red. And the dog is colorblind. It can't be clear and red. That would be kind of redonkulous. Yeah. Let's see. Which one is not influencing the sheet behind it at all? I'd be tempted to say this one. Okay, that's wine. You feel your heart skip a beat and realize that your human body has died. Your soul is destined to spend eternity in the body of the dog, or at least until the dog dies. Locked in the Palace of Dynast, you're not going to be able to finish your quest. Ow, no! I don't think we're going to be able to do anything like that. I mean, I can keep restoring until my head explodes. One of these bottles has to be the right one. Now, which one it is, I don't know. Because they all seem to smell the same. Yeah, I'm going to have to restore, but I'm going to try. Well, there's no point. I'm going to have to restore. Alright, give the steak to the dog. So apparently we are very, very much turn locked here. Got it. I want to put a spell on the dog, not the dungeon. Hunger. And then spell possession on the dog. Again. Take the key ring. Give the key ring to myself. There's no point in doing anything else until I've got The antidote. Yes, I got the right one. You take the clear bottle. The room darkens. Blotches of color obscure your vision. You can barely lift your limbs. I think I actually just drank more of the poison. The prince guzzles about half of the clear liquid. The effect is immediate. The pain drains from his face and body. He hands the bottle back to you with a sigh of relief. Didn't I just drink? You finish off the liquid from the clear bottle, grateful that you were able to tell it from the colored bottles when it didn't filter out any of the multicolored lines on the tablecloth. Wow, I just took a wild flying guess. I like when guesses are good. You feel the effects at once. The knots in your stomach loosen and the weight lifts from your limbs. You can feel that the liquid has cured you. Alright, so we're alive and well.
Yes, my friend?
Would you accompany me? I'm looking to get out of here.
I'd be happy to. Let's leave while we can.
Yay, I am now accompanied by Prince Smug the Medallion Elf. The black iron chains on the dungeon wall are old, but still very strong.
Behind a panel in that wall is a tunnel which leads directly to the docks. We should be able to sneak out to your ship and sail away before they know what's happening. When we're away, I'll direct you to the caves where my people hide. I must tell them about the situation here, and perhaps they can help you as well.
So I have the distinct impression that going through that door there is probably not in my best interests. You heave the door open and wander into the dark tunnels beyond. You're in a dimly lit chamber within an ancient catacomb. Yeah, let's not go into a catacomb right now. Your ship is docked next to a dark stone palace. Lights in the window indicate that it is inhabited. We've escaped! Yay! Let's enter.
This is an incredible vessel. Great workmanship. I've never seen anything like it. I assume that the steering is similar to the ships that I've piloted. If you'll give me leave, I'll take us to the secret caves on the edge of the Fire Sea.
I believe the right earpiece on my headphones has completely died today. Sailing, sailing over the Fire Sea. I'm glad the wood doesn't burn in this game, because that would be kind of totally lame. Alright, so 15 points. What's my score at? Status score, 805 out of 1500. We're over halfway. On score, anyway. The dragon ship has landed on a shallow gravel beach below a small cave.
Thank you, my friend, for helping me escape. You will be forever in your debt, and I intend to help you in your quest. Right now, however, I must speak with some of the elders. I have to tell them about Clytus, and we must make plans. If you go back to the palace, I will meet you there. We have a few ships ourselves that can take me. Until then, farewell.
The prince disappears into the mob of Sartan. You must be Balthazar, because it says that right there.
How can I help you?
You have to clear your throat repeatedly before the thin man lifts his sunken eyes from the book. When he does, you can feel the piercing, burning intelligence of his gaze. Although his body is old and frail, you sense that his mind is as sharp as any you've encountered.
Are you Balthazar?
That I am. I'm afraid you have me at a disadvantage. Who did you say you were?
Wow, you talk fast.
My name is Haplo.
Haplo. Haplo. Strange sounding name. Where do you hail from?
From the Labyrinth. Your ancestors trapped my race there, and I've returned to avenge my people.
That was probably not my answer.
Patron, you've come to destroy us. Well, you'll find that I'm not quite as helpless as I appear.
Oh, that was a dumb answer then. Woohoo! Dumb answers! Before you can do anything, he weaves his hands through the air, leaving a blazing blue trail, a rune structure you've never seen. The air around you becomes foul, choked with soot. You hack and cough and try to escape, but the dark cloud follows you everywhere. Eventually, it fills your lungs and you drop to the cave floor, dead. Whoops. Bad answer.
How can I?
Are you Balthazar?
That I am.
I didn't say.
That's right, you didn't. That's why I'm giving you the opportunity now.
My name is Haplo.
Haplo. Haplo. Strange-sounding name. Where do you hail from?
I don't really have a home. I've been on the move since I was young.
I see. That must be very difficult. Food is so scarce that we were forced to settle in one area to grow even the pitiful supply of crops we harvest. You must have some other source. Perhaps sometime you can let me know what it is. For right now, how can I help you?
Game audio is going to go off for just a second while I tweet something. Actually, you're not going to hear anything for just a second, so hold on. It's kind of what I was afraid of. It's not my headphones that failed, it's the extension cable I was using to actually make them comfortable. It has failed. Probably because I ran a chair leg over it about 80 times.
You're the same Balthasar who is the king's necromancer?
That's correct. Although as the royal necromancer, I suppose that I serve Edmund now.
The king is dead?
He wasn't a strong man. I think perhaps he had the plague at the end. It was befuddling his senses. The prince refused to assume the leadership from his father, so we followed the king until he died. Those were strange days. The king would lead us in circles as his mind slowly decayed. His death was inevitable. When someone contracts the plague, it is only a matter of time.
For 3 strange days, we had no destination.
What is this plague?
We're not quite sure. For as long as I can remember, people have been falling prey to a mysterious sickness. We just call it the plague, for lack of a better term. When someone contracts it, he dies days later. There is no cure. There doesn't seem to be any cause. It's not contagious in the usual sense. It strikes randomly. All of our efforts to learn more about it have proved futile.
Sounds like you got a case of the itis.
The plague has decimated our population. The dead far outnumber the living. Even if our world wasn't threatened by the imminent collapse of the Colossus, I question how long the plague will let us all live.
I've been to your home. I followed your directions here.
You followed my directions here? I'm glad that my journal served some purpose. If it helped to save one life, it was worth leaving behind.
Prince Edmund has told me quite a bit about you.
The prince is a good lad. A trifle young to be sure, but holding up remarkably well under the strain of leadership. The loss of his father has been hard on him. He wasn't meant to assume the crown for years to come. My thanks for your part in bringing him home.
You're welcome.
I'd like to talk about something else.
Hero types.
Certainly.
What are you reading?
This is just one of my own books on magic. I'm trying to master one of the lost arts, illusion. I'm so close to the spell that I can taste it. A breakthrough last night has placed it just within reach.
What was this breakthrough?
I've been trying to construct the spell by taking a back route. I reasoned that if I discovered how to break an illusion, I might be able to build one. Last night, I happened upon the correct rune structure to unravel an illusion. Using this as a foundation, I should be able to construct the Create Illusion spell.
How long will it take to work out the new spell?
Only a couple of years. This breakthrough has shaved decades off my research.
A couple of years? How long do you expect to be around?
Oh, you're right. Sometimes I get too involved in my own work. With the Colossus corrupted, none of us will live out the year. But there's no use in wallowing in despair. I might as well continue, since it keeps me from dwelling on our fate.
What exactly is an illusion?
An illusion is a powerful spell speaking directly to the brain of higher life forms. The spell tricks the mind into viewing reality a certain way. An ancient adept at using the spell could create an illusionary cell around you. No bars or walls would actually exist, but your brain would tell you that they did.
Brains are stupid.
To make matters worse, it wouldn't matter if he told you that the cell was illusory. The spell convinces your senses, all of your senses, that the cell is there. Your hand wouldn't be able to pass through the bars, whether you believed in them or not. Like I said, the spell speaks directly to the brains of higher creatures. Lower animals, like that dog following you around, wouldn't be affected. But for the purposes of the ancient magi, that was enough. Do you see why it is so hard to identify an illusion? When all of your senses are telling you that something exists, there's no reason for doubt. You can't go around suspecting everything, and even if you did, your suspicions wouldn't have any impact on the illusion.
Have you tested your Unravel Illusion spell?
Well, no, I haven't found any illusions anywhere. Not that I would be able to recognize one if I saw it. That's the nature of illusions. The only other way to conjure an illusion is to create one. And since I can't do that yet, I have no way of testing my Unravel Illusion spell. Although all the signs indicate that it is complete, I'd love to find an illusion somewhere to try it out on. But who knows where the ancients decided to place their illusions, if anywhere.
Create an illusion? That's easy. I've been able to do that since I was a kid.
Well then, I might as well put a halt to my research right now. I'll leave the teaching of my apprentices to you, and I'll resurrect myself since my life's purpose is over. Thank you for the insight.
Snark, snark, snarkity snark. The dog sniffs around the wall to the east.
Yes,
What are you reading?
This is just one of my own books.
Why do you call them lost arts?
That's the frustrating part of this research. All of the magic arts that I've been uncovering were once known and practiced by the ancients. I'm walking over already trod ground. If only more of the texts had survived, I could simply read about these spells instead of having to reconstruct them from sketchy, half-destroyed notes.
Can I see your book?
I'm afraid not. I only lend my books to colleagues and apprentices. You know how valuable they are? Each contains a vital piece of information. Damage to even one of them could delay or completely halt my research.
Where are the rest of your books? I heard you have a whole library.
They are safe, buried in a secluded spot. I keep them guarded at all times. They are invaluable, and I won't risk damaging them.
So you buried them.
You might want to get some exercise. Sitting there reading won't put meat on those bones.
I have just enough meat on my bones, thank you. Reading is what I enjoy, and in doing so, I have outlived all of my contemporaries. I wouldn't be surprised if I outlived you.
One second again. I'm tweaking the audio a lot today, I know, but it's acting up a little. It's very off-balanced. Yes, that's right. Open up there when that's not actually a good place to open up at all. Why do you insist on opening up on top of other things? Arrgh. Is it? I'm gonna kill the music volume a little bit in-game when I get a chance to, because, well, it is exceedingly loud in my head. Very unbalanced. Yeah, the music is way, way too loud. And that's the in-game balance. I'm going to try and fix that when I can. But I can't do that while I'm talking to somebody.
Never mind.
Sir, as you...
Alright, let's stop talking to Balthazar. Music voice. Why is the music volume way up again? I set that way lower.
Yes, what is it now?
What do you...
This is just...
Can you teach me any spells?
I'm afraid not. It takes a good deal of time to teach these arts to a novice. What's more, as a rule, I only teach my apprentices.
What was this breakthrough?
I've...
This is getting...
Sir,
Why did you want me to go down that conversation thread?
You're just one foot out of the grave, aren't you?
I'm more powerful than I might appear, my young friend. With age comes wisdom.
What are those guys yelling about in the corner?
They're playing Runebone. It's some type of gambling game, I believe, very popular with the working class. Since there's not much to do here, they play it constantly. It's very distracting.
So this is home, eh?
Hey, Nemeth.
Nice decor.
There are worse places to live. As you know, Abarak is filled with warrens and tunnels. Most of them are larger, considerably more comfortable to live in. We constructed our city in one of those. These tunnels, although spacious enough to contain everyone from Telestia, are cramped, located too close to the lava of the Fire Sea, and have only one small, clean spring, providing scarcely enough water to sustain such a population for very long.
Okay, so really bad planning. You should really talk to your city council.
Its only advantage is that the cavern is hidden. The entrance is nearly impossible to find along the extensive coast of the Fire Sea. It provides a perfect place to hide, which is exactly what we are doing.
My word, that's genius, man. Shadow Eater. I hadn't even thought of that. Fucking amazing.
Who are you hiding from?
From Clytus's forces, of course. If they found out where we were, they'd attack instantly. We'd be boxed in, trapped. We wouldn't last a day.
Thank you for your help. Perhaps we'll speak later.
As you wish.
I think the dog is trying to tell me something about the east wall. You go through your repertoire of attention-getting devices, finally deciding on a straightforward tap on the shoulder. This causes the recipient to suddenly drop the playing pieces he was shaking in his hands. He starts to protest, but when the other players begin to moan, his head drops to look at the winning throw and he laughs.
That was my luckiest throw of the night, and I owe it all to you.
Other players reluctantly hand over small white stones to the winners, which he accepts gratefully.
What are you doing?
Doing? Why, we're playing Runebone. It passes the time while we're waiting for the prince to decide what we're going to do. I was losing all night until you nudged me. That last throw made up for my entire losing streak.
Runebone, Runebone.
What are those stones you won?
They're not stones. They're rune bones. We make them from animal bones. Each unique rune bone has an individual rune carved into it, but they all interlock. When you throw them down, they form a design. If the bones fall in such a way that they form a legal spell, you win, and all the other players must contribute one of their rune bones to you. If no recognized spell is formed, you lose the bones you threw. Once you run out of rune bones, you're out of the game.
Are these spells real? Can you cast them?
Of course not. The runes are all fictitious. We made up the runes and the spells when we made up the game. Although when I created some of my runes, I snuck a peek at a few of the bookworm's old tomes. I wanted the runes to look authentic.
Since I was responsible for your throw, don't you owe me some of your winnings?
Sure, my friend. I guess you did bring me luck on my heaviest bet. I suppose I could let you have a few, just so you can practice a little at the game. If you get good enough, maybe we'll let you join in.
Are you hot, or is it just me?
It's just you.
That's all. Thanks, pal.
No problem.
His attention swings back to the game at hand, where he gets into an argument over the legitimacy of a thrown spell. Well, I'm going to cast Possession on the dog again. A bitter, sharp odor draws your attention to the east. Through the dog's eyes, you see a small tunnel that you missed before running into the cave wall. Dry, stale air from the opening carries a disturbing smell, an evil smell. Why, look, there's a hidden tunnel. Well, I'm going to touch Haplo. And tell... No, don't look at the cave wall. Talk to Balthazar.
Yes?
Have you noticed anything unusual about that cave wall to the east?
Unusual? No, it's just a cave wall. One of many, actually. Why?
What would you say if I told you that it was an illusion?
I'd say, how can you possibly know that? Your brain can't distinguish reality from illusion. You are a higher life form, aren't you? That's just an assumption, mind you.
I've looked at it through the dog's eyes, and it's not there. What do you think that means?
You mean you possessed the dog and he didn't see it? Yes, that would follow. The spell does not communicate with the lower life forms, and by possessing the body of such a form, you would bypass the magic of the illusion. You say it was the east wall. It's an illusion. Imagine. I've been sitting this close to an illusion every day, eager for a chance to test my unravel illusion spell. I'll try it now.
Don't you feel like a dumbass? Just sitting there. Balthazar wanders over to the cave wall. He touches, even pushes it with all his might. With a questioning look in your direction, he waves his hands about, tracing blue glowing lines in the air. When he has finished the final rune, the spell floats into the wall. The rock flickers and then dissolves like so much mist. Beyond, you see a small crawlway stretching into the darkness.
It worked! It worked! This is exactly what my research needed. Now that I know the Unravel Illusion spell is correct, it won't take long to finish the Create Illusion spell.
Balthazar dives back into his book and resumes reading with rekindled enthusiasm. You have learned a spell. You shake the rune bones in your hand and drop them. They form a pattern, but since you don't know the rules, you have no idea if you won or lost. Some of the gamblers look over at you and chuckle. A little embarrassed, you pick them back up again. So, I now have a spell. I have Unravel Illusion. I wonder what happens. I wonder if it's got a dangling thread on it or anything. No, it doesn't. Weird. Cancel. Let's enter the hidden tunnel. The dog stays behind, bristling and growling at the tunnel. The air in this small hidden cavern is heavy and thick. Something happened here. Something very, very evil. It was evil, I tell you, an evil thing. Your fingers touch the black material of the robe. It feels inexplicably cold. The frost runs up your arm, and soon your whole body begins to shiver. The rocks of the cave seem to take on a life all their own. They whirl and twist and become something totally anew. Then you realize that you are seeing a vision of an entirely different place. You see a man dressed in the robe you touched. Although the room is dark, he is unmistakably Sartan. He stands in front of a gigantic stone spire covered with magic runes. His attention is focused on a large rune in the center of the spire. A nervous dwarf stands nearby, watching this man cast spell after spell at the rune. The wizard curses and yells as the blue fire strikes the stone, but without effect. The dwarf quakes with fear, but remains steadfast. He approaches the room with a hammer and wedge held out in front of him. He cautiously touches them to the rune. A massive explosion throws his body back like a rag doll. It skipped an entire block of dialogue on me again. The man shrieks again, but in frustration. He curses the dwarf's limp body for its weakness. The strength of madness enters the wizard, and even while maintaining the spells that hold the spire's rune at bay, he simultaneously casts a mighty spell, too quick to memorize, upon the dwarf's corpse. A misty image of the dwarf appears floating over the body. Its expression is one of pain and terror. It's as if something has taken hold of it in the manner of a rope wrapped around its foot and is dragging it back into the corpse. When the spirit's image has been totally subsumed by the body, the dwarf's eyes jerk open. The man in black screams at the dwarf to finish the task. Slowly, the dwarf drags himself to his feet. He gathers up the hammer and wedge and approaches the spire. He touches the tools to the rune again, and again the magic reacts, but now the explosion only rips flesh from his bones, and somehow The dwarf manages to stay his ground. 5 blows of his hammer force a chunk from the center of the rune to fall away. Immediately, the rune's glow vanishes, and all of the other runes on the spire grow a bit darker. The man in black laughs as he picks up the piece of stone. He admires the rock in his hand as if it were some kind of relic. Then he turns his attention to the obvious hole in the spire's rune. With his free hand, he weaves an intricate spell that is too complicated to follow, and suddenly the rune appears to be whole again. The strange pair exit the chamber, leaving the spire seemingly whole but much darker than it started. The scene shifts. Now you see the same man seated on a throne. He holds a scepter which has as its headpiece the same chunk of stone from the spire. Others in his court display obvious fear of their ruler and keep quite a distance from him. This man seems to prefer it. You see no sign of the dwarf. Another scene. The wizard is much older. He's handing the scepter to another, younger man whose face bears a close resemblance to that of the wizard. You can see the avarice and longing in his eyes, and the reluctance in the eyes of the wizard in black. After the younger man has snatched the scepter away, he takes no further notice of the older wizard, who slowly walks off. Now you see the old wizard in this very cave. He stands on the rock floor alone. The madness in his eyes is overwhelming. He murmurs to himself for a while. You catch only the mouthings of a few words. "They'll never catch me!" and "must never bring me back! Never!" His hands wave aimlessly in the air, but then you begin to see the blue traces of a spell. Soon the rune construct is completed. It flies into his body and explodes in flames. The wizard thrashes a bit, but in short order is no more than a pile of ash. Surprisingly, the robe he wore has been left untouched by the flame. Nothing happens for a while. Then you realize that the visions have ended, and what you are looking at is the same scene, only thousands of years later. The robe lies in the same place, covering the ashy remains of the old wizard. Tentatively, you pick up the robe, but no further images haunt you. What spell did I learn? Not identify spell. Oh, how about I don't learn the spell, or don't use the spell of self-immolation anytime soon? Because that sounds like kind of a pain in the ass spell. Actually, it sounds like a pain in the everything spell. I'm burning! I'm burning! So what's his spell book got in it, one wonders? Oh god, time to read another book. Necromancy. A study of necromancy. Or necromancy, depending on what region you're from. Let it be known by any who would read this book, who would learn of the dark practice of necromancy, that it is forbidden. Let the reader do so at the peril to his soul and to those of his brethren. This tome is intended for information's sake only. He who disregards this warning and undertakes to practice this discipline has committed a crime against his race, and at this time, a crime punishable by death by order of the Sartian High Council. If this warning strikes you as too harsh, you are obviously not familiar with the after effects of this art. Simply put, for every person brought back from death, another of his race shall die untimely. This spell is tantamount to murder, therefore it is treated as such. That explains the plague. Every time they bring somebody back from the dead, somebody else dies. Well, that explains why there are more dead than living, don't it? Necromancy is literally death magic. It can be used to draw back the spirit of the dead and force it to inhabit the body it has rightfully vacated. This does not bring the dead back to life. Indeed, the body loses its ability to feel and heal its wounds. Eventually, even the best-kept corpse will be useless. Countless accidents and daily wear will eventually exhaust its potential. And the spirit never quite grasps what has happened. It exists in a state of constant confusion. In its own mind, it is reliving its past. It replays events that it has experienced, despite different environments and the lack of other players and props. Some lose contact with this world entirely and live only in their created reality of the past, but that is an extreme case. Most spirits can understand and communicate with the living. This is their only benefit. Resurrected corpses can obey the living as well as they can, given their mental and physical limitations. In a situation where the living cannot function, at peril to life or health, a corpse can perform admirably. Necromancy was discovered by accident. A failed experiment to uncover the soul's destination after death unexpectedly provided the basis for resurrection. No one understands precisely what the spell does. The spell's results are understood. But where are we drawing the spirit from? What are we consigning it to? Why does the other person have to die? And why only from the same race? These questions will have to remain unanswered, as all experiments involving the spell have been prohibited. The spell itself is as follows. Thank you for teaching me an utterly horrible spell that I'd never want to use ever. This text should serve only to remind that the practice of necromancy has been condemned. By forgetting the art and its consequence, we risk that future generations will unwittingly follow our footsteps, rediscover the discipline, and repeat our mistakes. Look upon this text as knowledge, pure and simple. Knowledge never kills or destroys except in the hands of those who misuse it. You have learned a spell. So what happens if I try to reanimate him with that spell even though he told me not to? Resurrection. Boom, 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 boom. Cast. You cast the spell, but it fizzles on contact with their remains. Not only is it too little to bring back, but the spell works only shortly after death. Cletus has been dead for thousands of years. Well, it's worth a shot. You run up to Balthazar, eager to discuss the amazing vision you've just experienced.
I just had an incredible vision when I picked up this black robe. What do you think it means?
A vision? Tell me about it.
You do.
This is amazing. You've just experienced the life of our first dynast, Clytus I. It answers quite a few questions I've had about his rise to power and his reign. It also answers many questions about our current situation.
How did this happen? Why did I see all of these things when I picked up the robe?
I'm not exactly sure. It's possible that when Clytus took his own life, the robe became infused with his spirit. This happens sometimes, especially when the death is particularly violent and the victim is very powerful in magic. When you picked up the robe, what was left of Clytus, lying there for thousands of years, passed through you. Your mind interpreted this by showing his memories. This is all speculation, you realize.
Can you interpret the bit about Clytus's grab for power?
I would be happy to. What would you like to know?
Wasn't there a ruling council at that time? Could you tell me about it?
The High Council once governed over all of Abarak. Clytus was a member. It democratically created laws for all Sartan and at one time the Mensch as well. When the Mensch woke the Sartan, the Council was the body that decided on the course of action. To put a handful of the Mensch to sleep and wait for the interconnection. The Council would have continued to rule if Clytus had not been so power-hungry.
How did he convince the council to let him disband it and institute a monarchy?
He didn't have the political power to do that. No one did. So he required magical power to back his play. He made himself undefeatable with the scepter. No one dared to oppose him after he created it. It was child's play to institute the monarchy. He merely eliminated every possible opponent.
So he just killed everybody and became leader. Okay.
Why did he do all of this?
I believe that to be a member of Abarak's council, the only requisite was a mastery of magic. This implied intelligence, but not necessarily sanity. Clytus was clearly insane, if not before his play for power, then afterward.
Crazy Wizard, news at 11.
Let's move on to another topic.
Very well.
Can you tell me exactly what happened to the Colossus?
The Colossus is the source of Abarak's magic. It is what warms the stone, melts the ice, and feeds water throughout the world. It was an unparalleled marvel, by far the greatest of the ancients' achievements. It contained so much power that it's easy to see why Clytus lusted after it.
Sounds like the Kixie Winsey.
What was the rune that he was battling with?
It was a containment rune. The spell was a cap for the Colossus's magic. It sealed the spells inside to keep the magic from flowing out, so that the Colossus would last forever.
What happened when he finally subdued it?
Over a period of several months, Clytus wove an intricate set of spells that temporarily weakened the containment rune. When the structure had drained the rune of enough power, he had his dwarf servant carve a chunk of the rune away. It was a central line of the rune. Without it, the symbol was meaningless and therefore powerless. The Colossus's magic began to drain away.
What did he do by removing a chunk of the rune?
He just
It was
said,
much like taking a chunk of flesh from your body. The magic sealed inside of the Colossus started to leak out, like blood from a vital wound.
Why did he do this when it would eventually destroy this world? Didn't he think ahead?
It's true that eventually the Colossus would lose enough power to cease supporting Abarak. I'm sure Clytus must have known this. It's possible that Clytus was counting on the interconnection. He must have reasoned that thousands of years would pass before it would actually make a difference. Long before that, the interconnection would occur, and Abarak would survive on the energies provided from it. On that, I'm a little unclear as well. The interconnection is a little mystical to me, but it's obvious that the ancients believed in it. Perhaps they shouldn't have. Thousands of years have passed and no interconnection has taken place. The Colossus is failing and it's taking our world with it.
What did he do at the end, before he left it?
Clytus was intelligent. He knew that people would see the Colossus with a huge chunk missing from the containment rune and realize something was amiss, so he placed an illusion upon it. Now the Colossus looks normal, even feels normal, but the hole is still there, the rune is still broken, and magic continues to flow.
if you go in there, you better bring boots because it's pretty deep right now.
Can the Colossus be fixed?
That's an interesting question. I suppose it could. If the rune were reconnected, it would begin to function again. The spell would hold in the magic as it is supposed to. I don't know if the Colossus has enough magic left at this point to support Abarak anymore, but at least it wouldn't lose anymore. The original fragment, if it were replaced, would do this. Actually, it wouldn't have to be the original fragment. Anything that had the missing line that fit into the hole would reconnect the rune. The complete rune is the important element, not the composition of the rock. If something with a fragment shape were placed inside the hole, the containment rune would reactivate.
I already
Enough
know.
about this subject.
Very well.
I know exactly what to get. Yay!
What's the deal with the dwarf?
The dwarf was Clytus's personal servant. He worshipped Clytus, very like a well-trained dog. I believe that's how Clytus saw him as well. Not much more than an animal.
Why did Clytus bring him along?
Clytus needed someone else to break the rune. It required all of his concentration and effort merely to subdue it. While he focused on weakening the rune, he had the dwarf run in and carve out the chunk.
What did he do while Clytus battled the rune?
He just waited to be of service. Every day, he walked with Clytus through the catacombs to the Colossus and waited. If you count the amount of times he wandered in and out of the catacombs with nothing to do, that dwarf must have known it like the back of his hand. You couldn't get much more dedicated.
What happened to him when he tried it the first time?
You saw what happened!
Rune's magic was strong. Clytus should have known better than to send a mensch to cut the rune. It killed him instantly. I believe that this is where Clytus finally went mad. He was so close to his goal, and his plans were about to be foiled by a lowly mensch.
You already showed me what happened. Why are you telling me what I already...
In desperation, he resurrected the dwarf, knowing that the result would be much more resistant to damage than the dwarf's original body. The corpse dragged himself up, and still loyal to Clytus, removed the chunk of stone from the containment rune. Clytus had succeeded in breaking the rune at only the cost of a mensch. A bargain.
Is that when Clytus instituted the practice of necromancy among the Sartan?
Come to think of it, you're right. Coincidental timing? Perhaps not. It's possible that he instituted the practice to justify his own actions. That's almost unthinkable. We've been using necromancy for thousands of years to cover for one man's mistake? I certainly hope that's not the case.
You know, I have to wonder all of a sudden, too. Jumping tangent slightly. The book says that necromancy, every time it's used, every time somebody's brought back to life, somebody dies unexpectedly. So what do? Do you what happens if you then go and use necromancy on the person who died unexpectedly? Somebody else? I'm just imagining this long conveyor belt of people dying constantly. It's like, well, Bob just exploded. Let's bring him back again. Well, except you can't bring him back if he exploded. Maybe you could. I don't know.
Where did he end up?
After Clytus had broken the containment rune, he had no further use of his servant. He banished him to the ancestral home of the dwarves. It's a complex of caves fairly near to Telestia. The dwarf obsessed about Clytus for years. Having the metal retention of the dead, he eventually forgot that he had completed the mission and broken the rune, so he sat in his cave waiting for Clytus to come and take him back to the catacombs. I think he's been waiting there ever since.
Let's move along to another subject.
Very well.
Tell me about the Scepter of Rulership.
After Clytus took the chunk from the Colossus, he fashioned a scepter and used the chunk as a headpiece. He brandished the finished product at the council and demanded a crown. They caved in almost immediately.
What kind of power did the scepter have?
Mostly destructive. It could turn a man to ash with no more than a flick of the wrist. I believe it also had powers of a more subtle nature, though my texts don't address these. What is written is that the scepter is unmatched in sheer destructive force.
How did it get its power?
That's a good question.
When the chunk was removed from the Colossus, the containment rune was broken. Magic began to seep from it, much like blood from a wound. It was always Clytus's intention to draw magic from the wound for his own purposes. He found that he could focus this power through the piece of the Colossus that he possessed. That is why he fashioned the scepter, using the fragment as the headpiece.
Why did the council cave
Tell me.
in?
Explain this
Wasn't
to
it
me.
filled with master wizards?
Clytus was drawing upon the magic of the Colossus. Nothing could withstand that. Where the other wizards had to weave the rune construct slowly into the air and pull the possibilities of their spells into this reality, Clytus could just disintegrate them with a wave of his hand.
Power word kill.
Before any organized resistance could be brought to bear, Clytus had eliminated any council member powerful or stubborn enough to oppose him. The others fell into line like cattle.
I'm guessing they don't have wards and amulets in this particular world like they have had in others, because I'd just be like, amulet of protect me from jackass. Pew! My win.
Is there any way to counter the scepter?
That's like asking if there is any way to defeat the Colossus. In a sense, it is the same thing. The scepter draws upon the Colossus's power. It cannot be overcome. Although it wouldn't be necessary to overcome the scepter if it were rendered useless. This is just a wild thought. But the scepter focuses the power of the Colossus that is leaking from the broken containment rune. If the rune were completed and the containment spell resumed working, the scepter couldn't draw upon the magic. It would be useless. All of this speculation is worthless as well. You can't render the scepter useless without completing the containment rune. You can't complete the rune without replacing the headpiece inside the Colossus, and you can't get the headpiece without rendering the scepter useless. A vicious circle.
You can't get out of the army unless you're crazy. You can't say you're crazy. If you say you're crazy, you won't fly any piloting missions, and if you ain't piloting, well, you can't be crazy. It's catch-22.
Where is the scepter now?
When Clytus grew too old to rule, he placed the scepter in the hands of his eldest son, Clytus II, and disappeared. The line is continued unbroken until this day. Clytus XIV now holds the scepter and rules Abarak. I would guess that he has it within his palace.
Let's talk about something else.
Very well.
Can you explain why Clytus ran away at the end?
I have a theory. After he passed the scepter on to his son, it was only a matter of time until he passed away, either naturally or at the hands of one of his many enemies. He decided to come here, to a secret cave where he could hide forever. Clytus entered and decided upon a small chamber for his final resting place. He cast an illusion spell upon the entrance in order to keep everyone out. Even if someone found these caverns, they wouldn't penetrate his inner sanctum. He had reasons to want not to be discovered.
He had the most remarkable body odor.
At the very end, he cast a self-immolation spell. This is surprising, but not totally unexplainable. I believe that Clitus actually feared resurrection more than death itself. By destroying his remains, even before he was dead, he assured himself that he would never be raised. That's why you found a pile of ashes inside his robes, which were fairly intact. The self-immolation spell destroys the body of the caster, but nothing else.
Note to self, never try to use that on somebody else.
It appears that Clitus wanted to minimize the chances of anyone finding and raising him. But even so, his actions seem extreme. His remains were completely destroyed. Why did he bother hiding in these forsaken caves guarded by an illusion spell? I wonder if he was hiding anything else.
I found a book lying alongside of Clitus. It claims that necromancy is forbidden, and that for every person raised, another shall die untimely.
That is the final answer. The one I have been dreading my entire life. Necromancy is forbidden. Of course. You say that for every person brought back, another dies untimely? This is what we have termed the plague. We have unwittingly been killing ourselves for centuries, and we have done so at the command of a long-dead maniac. How could we have been so blind?
Oh, trust me, people do stupid things. I mean, people still buy Justin Bieber albums.
We have to change. We have to put things right. I shall stop the practice of necromancy with my people, but it's only a start. We have to overthrow Clitus. We have to tell everyone.
Do you know how I could get to the Colossus?
The Colossus is located in the middle of the catacombs in the foundation of Clitus's palace. It's said that only the descendants of Clitus I are shown the way through. No one else is allowed in. Even if you were able to sneak back into the palace, I can't imagine how you would find your way to the center of that maze. Besides Clitus, there's no one living who can show you.
Emphasis on the word
That's
living.
all I need to know.
As you wish.
Other tunnels run off from the main cave. They too are filled with Sartan refugees. You slip the black robe over your body. Although the back is rather torn, from the front you cut an imposing figure. Interesting. I also wonder... Nah. No, don't put the secret cave anywhere. What are you doing? Thing's got the stickiest things. It looks like a small handheld torture device used to crush or spread a variety of body parts, limited only by the user's imagination. Intriguing. Well, I know part of what I need. I need to find the Mad Dwarf. Okay, that's the catacombs. That's not going to do me any good. And going upstairs would be probably pretty stupid. Alright. So he said... Did he say it was near Telestia? Oh, right. We're not in long conversation warning anymore. Boop. Gone now.
Would you accompany me?
You're surrounded by the stone buildings of the deserted town. Yeah, we've been here a few times. Thanks. I didn't want to give him the square.
Would
I didn't even have that highlight. I wonder sometimes about this game.
Would you accompany me?
He basically gets confused after, like, every command.
Would...
Well, he won't go up. Never mind. It's worth a shot. Because I need to get this headpiece. Unlike the rest of the cast iron statue, this wedge-shaped headpiece is made from a different material. It looks as if it was carved from a black rock and set inside the metal tongs of the scepter. On the flat end is a single graven line. The vise won't fit between the tongs of the scepter while it's open. Then tighten it. You shove the vise between the tongs holding the headpiece in place. It's a snug fit. You twist the screw and slowly the tongs of the scepter begin to wrench apart. After quite a while of intense effort, the stone headpiece falls from the tongs' clutches to the metal platform below. They are using tongs, or this vise, in the exact opposite sense that I'm thinking. They're tightening it, sticking it between two things and opening it. Weird idea. Bonk. Thank you. I now have the headpiece, which is all I need to, dabbly-do. To ficky-do, blah-blah-bluey. My brain just farted into my farty parts. Farty parts? Remind me never to use that word ever again.
Would you accompany...
You don't really need to go to the city.
Would... Would...
You walk up the gangplank of your ship, though the dead worker grows inattentive before you get halfway there. He forgets your command and wanders back to his beloved fields. Okay, so what is the point of the dead worker? Because he doesn't seem to do anything.
The smallest people in caves and caverns all their own.
Okay, so she'll only read the spell or her book. Yeah, tell me about it. It's getting ready to rain here, though, I would say. It's getting very gray and smoky out there, which is awesome. I like rain. Rain is the opposite of not rain. Nine identical carved dwarven symbols. Attack! You lunge at the snake with the rusty shears. It deftly dodges your clumsy attacks and counters with one of its own. Only a survival instinct of life born in the labyrinth keeps you out of harm's way. You decide to treat the snake with a little more respect. I'll pet it. You decide that all the snake needs is a little affection. Perhaps that would change his disposition. You gather him up and pet him. He looks genuinely happy just before he bites your head off. Boop. You try to sneak past the snake, but it's far too alert. It watches you with predatory eyes, just waiting for you to come within striking distance. I'm going to cold you, because snakes don't like cold. The snake's head lowers. You reason that the cold may have made the snake sluggish, but the moment you take one step towards the far wall, the snake whips towards you. You barely make it away in time. That didn't work very well. So the heat makes him more angry. Interesting. I'm going to possess him. Oh wait, I have to touch him. You reach a hand toward the snake. It can't seem to believe its good fortune and decides to meet you halfway. You pull back a stump. I've been disarmed. Yeah, where are you at? In the I assume you're American. Where in the country? No, don't use magic on Haplo. Wait, I have the most amazing idea. What if you're an illusion? An illusory snake. You cast a spell on the snake, but evidently there was no illusion there. Either that or it was more clever than you. Nope, not transportation. That would be stupid. I want possession. Bark, bark. Well, that didn't work. Because I know some parts of the country it's absolutely ridiculous right now how warm it is. Put the dog on the snake. So the snake doesn't like me. Yes, I hear you, dog. Thank you. Bark, 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 bark. Yeah, smell the long dead granny. Well, okay, I'll give you back your book.
The smallest people made their home in caves and caverns all their own. They'll only come out.
How am I barking the...
All the arrows point the
Okay.
way. Which way, you ask? Where are they found? Just out of sight under the ground. Don't look too close, they'll run away. Unless the arrows
Hey, what up?
the way. The smallest people made their home.
Because I'm pretty sure that's where the dead dwarf is chilling.
They'll only come outside to play when all the arrows point the way. Which way, you ask? Where are they found? The smallest people in
Okay, I don't know why right click is always bark now. Hey you, Captain Excitement, follow me.
Would you
We're going to a cave.
the smallest people in caves and caverns all their own.
Alright, so the nursery rhyme confuses the dead guy. This is Deathgate. This is by the same people who made Callahan's and Mission Critical. Go grab that snake.
grab that snake.
The worker turns his gaze to the coiled snake in the middle of the cave. He shuffles over and grabs it. If a snake could look surprised, you'd swear it was stunned by this hulking corpse. He whips around and bites him, but the worker doesn't even seem to notice. Thank you. Whoops. Without any direction, the confused corpse releases the enraged snake and wanders back to his beloved fields, leaving you and the snake to talk things over. Oh, God, the stupid. Okay. Now, grab the snake.
Go grab...
Oops, wrong. Routine. Wish there was a faster way to do this. Alright. So he grabs the snake. Wait, I wonder. Can I cast possession on it now that it can't get close enough to do anything to me? Nope. Okay, so... there's got to be one thing I can do. Oh, come on. I hit the wrong button. Shit. No, not identify. Cold. This is getting... No, I can't double undo, so... Well, at least I can use that undo button now to make this a little faster, because this is kind of redonkulous. Grab the snake. Nope. One second. Believe it or don't, I have a thought. That's the wrong place for that thought. No, never mind. 'Twas a bad thought. Yeah, endless possibilities and all of them weirdly inaccurate. That's not what I wanted to do.
The smallest people made their
Nope.
home. They'll only come outside to play when all the arrows point the way.
Great. It won't let me undo that far. That's weird. Yes, accompany me. Grab that snake. Hells if I know what to do with it now, though. It's a poem, I think, that gives the solution to the back wall. I don't even think you can actually read it. No, not identify. Damn it. Okay, really? Weirdest controls. Worst hitboxes. Alright, that doesn't work. Yeah, unlike all the others, you can't actually read that book. But why I'm getting Bark the book, I don't know. See, that's necromancy. Oh, that'll work. A book about grabbing snakes. How opportunistic. What an amazing opportunity. Not the direction I wanted to go. I keep confusing which one is which. There we go. Now, give this book to the nanny. The dead worker listens carefully to the words of the rhyme, "Get that snake." The idea slowly sinks in when he sees the coiled snake in the middle of the cave. He shuffles over and grabs it. If a snake could look surprised, you'd swear it was stunned by the hulking corpse. It whips around and bites him, but the worker doesn't even seem to notice. And 20 points.
Grab him quick or you won't last if you're too slow. Grab the snake and hold him fast. Don't let him go. Grab him quick or you won't last.
What did you expect? It's a door.
Grab the snake and hold him fast. Don't let him go. Grab him quick or you won't last if you're too slow. Grab the snake and hold him fast. Don't let him go. Grab him quick or you won't last if you're too slow.
The wall of the cave is covered with 9 identical carved dwarven symbols.
Hold him fast. Don't let him go. Grab him quick or you won't last if you're too slow. Grab the snake and hold him fast. Don't let him go. Grab him quick or you won't last if you're too slow. Grab the snake and hold him fast. Don't let him go.
You walk towards the far wall of the cave. The snake writhes and spits as it tries to escape the dead worker's grasp, but its efforts are futile. The corpse's grip is too strong, and the dead nanny's constant repetition of the command to hold the snake keeps him from forgetting his task and wandering off. Soon you come upon the wall, a collection of 9 stone circles, each with an ornate arrow carved upon it. Now here's the thing. If you click on an arrow, that arrow and all arrows immediately horizontally and vertically adjacent to that arrow will rotate clockwise. What puzzle exactly am I trying to generate here is the underlying question. And the thing of it is it's in her book. One makes 4 and 1 left over. The one we've got is just a cave. Started out warm but got much colder. It's just like living in the grave. Where are the others? They disappeared. Perhaps something went very wrong. If they survived, not like we feared, why have they stayed away so long? Yeah, I keep forgetting to actually look at the compass rose and do stuff. The smallest people made their homes in caves and caverns all their own. They'll only come out to play when all the arrows point the way. Which way, you ask? Where they found, just out of sight under the ground. Don't look too close, they'll run away unless the arrows point the way. I'm guessing they have to all point down then. That's not what I said to do.
Grab the snake and hold him fast. Don't let him go.
Well, that's almost all of them. Close, anyway. We might actually be at this for a little while. And I missed one too. And all but one again. Okay, so they all start off that way. Yeah. Thanks for the hint. Not taking it, but thank you. Well, that's closer than it's ever been. And off by one. There you go.
Quick or you won't last.
Hey, look, it's the guy I was looking for. Hey, guy I was looking for. Hi, guy. How you doing? You look pretty horrible. The dwarf is unmistakably dead and has not weathered his years well. One eye is gone and the other clouded over. Half his chest is missing, as well as the lower part of his right arm. The remainder looks like it was used repeatedly as a meal by lots of little creatures. Its one good eye glares at the world with madness.
My lord Clytus, I knew you would return. I have been faithful. As you asked, I spoke to no one about you. I have waited for you to take me back to the Colossus so that we can complete what we started. Take me with you, my lord. Please, take me with you.
That is his ear sitting on his shoulder.
Do you know the way through the catacombs?
Of course I do. A dwarf never forgets his way, especially through underground tunnels. I could find my way to the Colossus blindfolded.
That's good, then you're going to be.
I certainly hope so. Your eyes are so weak that you might as well be wearing a blindfold.
My eyes are fine. It's just that the world has grown a bit blurry lately.
You sat here for thousands of years waiting for me?
I've waited ever since you sent me here. I knew you would return to take me away. I always knew.
I'm saving a crazy zombie dwarf.
Did you make that statue in the clock tower? Is that supposed to look like me?
A statue? A statue? I carve statues of you all the time in your service. You said that it pleased you. I hope I haven't done anything to make you angry. I might have made a statue when I first came here. I can't remember. Forgive me, my lord. It's all so foggy.
Of course. Come with me now. We shall go there immediately.
Yes, my lord. Of course, my lord. Let us go. I'm ready.
Joints unused for centuries creak and pop as he slowly rises. It's rather disgusting to see how much of his body is left on the cave floor. Surprisingly, he succeeds and walks unsteadily towards you. I'm a little disconcerted by carrying half a corpse around with me, but I'm sure it's not the weirdest item I'll ever carry. Alright, so we go back to Cletus's palace. Clytus's, I'm sorry. Cletus the Redneck Necromancer. The Red Necromancer! I summon y'all back to the world of the living with the power of dark magic and Bud Light.
I thought you might be coming back here, and you might need me. The rest of my people are on their way to storm the palace. I came ahead to aid you. I hope you don't mind. I see you're climbing in the social circles.
Smartass, go eat my shit. Alright, into the catacombs.
Colossus, break the rune! Break the rune! My lord commands me!
Totally beyond reason, he pushes you aside and charges into the catacombs. The door slams shut behind him, catching his rotted shirt in the door jamb and tearing a piece of the cloth off. His footsteps echo as he runs deep into the maze. The dwarf's screams appear to have alerted the guard to the top of the stairs. You hear some questioning grunts and loud stomping. Oops, I should probably...
Someone has entered the catacombs without authorization. The Dynast is coming. Wait for Clytus. He's the only one who knows the way to the catacombs, and he wants this intruder himself.
I'm gonna take this cloth, just because it's an item.
We've got the stinking rebel trapped now. Only Clytus knows the way through the catacombs. He'll be here in a second to track that lowlife down and kill him. You hear me, rebel? You're going to die!
That's not awesome. Alright, well that didn't work. It was worth a shot. Well, how in the hell am I supposed to... Arrgh! Oh, wait. Derp. You hold the cloth in front of the dog. He sniffs at it, then lowers his keen nose to the ground. His ears perk up and he points north. North. Oh, north. West. South. West. North. You're in a dimly lit chamber within an ancient catacombs. The dog sniffs a bit, then points to the north. The footsteps continue to pound behind you. To the north, to the west, to the north, to the north, to the north. We made it! A variety of places which I would prefer not to discuss on the internets. Well, online anyway. A huge stone spire rises from a pool of lava. Its surface is covered with the ancient mystic runes of the Sartan. It sounds like your pursuer is right behind you. Okay, we need to use Dispel Illusion, or Unravel Illusion anyway. Yeah, it's not hard to find. As you trace the runes into the air, you start to sense the wrongness of the Colossus. The crux of its magic, the containment room, was broken and then covered up with an illusion. Your spell carefully unties the deception until the illusion completely unravels and falls away. What remains is a hole in the center of the containment rune where an important line should be. Without this line to complete the rune, it is now powerless and has been ever since the piece of the Colossus was removed. Now, thankfully, I have a replacement. You place the copy of the headpiece on the hole in the containment room. It slips inside smoothly and firmly. The lines carved on top of the headpiece connect with the remainder of the rune and complete the spell. Immediately, the rune begins to glow. It isn't very bright, but you sense that the spell is working. The Colossus's magic is being held inside the spire. None is leaking out as it did before.
Patron, I knew you would be trouble. I should have killed you when I first had the chance. And the young prince as well. It seems that I have been far too generous lately. I'll have to rectify that.
The Sartan lifts his scepter and holds it dramatically in front of his body, but nothing happens. He tries it a few more times, staring in disbelief. The prince laughs, draws his sword, and pounces on the confused Dynast. Clytus doesn't have sense enough to scream, but looks bewildered by the sword wound left by the prince's attack. He topples into the moat of lava surrounding the Colossus as the powerless scepter falls from lifeless fingers.
So, Haplo, you are a patron. I know about your race. Balthazar taught me well. This should make us enemies, but you have helped me. You have helped my people. Perhaps you did this for your own reasons, but I owe you a debt of gratitude, and I still consider you my friend.
Bitchin' in the kitchen.
I thought that this was my most valued possession. Now I know that I value my subjects, my world, more. I want you to have it, to make certain that you do not forget us. If Abarak is to survive, we must be linked to the other worlds, and you are the only one that can do this. Take the seal piece. Go back to your ship, through Death's Gate. Save this world, Haplo, my friend. We need you. Now, I must clean this palace of the filth Clytus left here. My people should be in position by now.
Alright, so let's take the piece. We now have a pendant, which will give us the world seal for the next area. You wander back through the catacombs to the entrance. You are in one of many passages that run through the palace's foundation. A stairway leads up to the more populated areas. Oh, that's right, the dungeon. And this leads out. Okay, we cast Rune Transfer on this. Transfer the pendant onto the stone, which will give us the last rune. I don't think you actually can. A lot of the Legend Entertainment stuff is not available there. There are rights issues, basically. Legend Entertainment, in their later years, was part of... who the heck? Atari. Infogrames and Atari. They did Unreal for Infogrames, and they were recently dissolved. So, basically, their properties are all in the ether. You take the dragon ship back through the Death Gate and return to the Nexus. 3 down, 1 to go. Or is it 2 to go? No, it's 1 to go. Not snack break. You produce the stone seal piece while recounting your macabre adventures on Abarak. Quite unexpectedly, instead of focusing on the large number of surviving Sartan there, Zar asks you to elaborate on the spell of necromancy. He even asks to see the spell book that shows the spell.
It appears that these Sartan have done our job for us. By using necromancy unchecked for thousands of years, they've decimated their own race. I'm sure it's fair to assume that there are only a few stragglers remaining in the other realms, like your Zifnab, if any are left alive at all. The survivors in Abarak don't sound strong enough to resist us. In fact, they are in the midst of a civil war. Once the world is reformed, the resulting chaos will be perfect for our army to walk in and destroy both sides.
You know, this is starting to sound really sinister, my friend. Liam Neeson, are you evil?
You've done your job well. There's only one world left, and I hope what you will discover there will be no surprise. Many coffins filled with dead Sartan. If you haven't already, take the amulet that your prince was foolish enough to give you and transfer it to your steering stone. Go to Celestra and bring back its seal piece. We're very close, Haplo. I can feel it.
You said that it was necromancy unchecked that killed the Sartan. Does that mean you'd consider using it with limits?
Do you understand the potential of that spell? An army whose numbers never diminish, whose members get stronger after they die. What force could stand against it? Naturally, we'd have some other deaths to compensate, but they'll be manageable. After a few skirmishes, the mere threat of our army would be enough to enjoin surrender. Then we wouldn't need to use the spell anymore. Until that happens, there are always losses in war.
Prince Edmund placed his faith in me to save his world. That's why he gave me the amulet.
This is from the race that consigned you to an eternity of torment, and he asks you for help. Are you seriously considering his plea? Look at his situation. His people squabble among themselves like mensch. Even now, they are in the throes of a civil war. Naturally, he wants you to help him. You represent the greatest threat his kind has ever known. He must not have realized what his amulet would mean to us, but it is our responsibility to take advantage of it.
Why do I hear this guy going, you wouldn't download a car, you wouldn't download a pizza, so why would you download a movie?
You don't just represent yourself. You are the vanguard for our entire race. Don't let your emotions get in the way of your mission. I'd hate to have to cut it short.
And your penis, too.
Inside yourself, you'll find that you are a patron. You were whelped by the labyrinthine fires of hate. Hate for the accursed Sartan that put you there. I can trust you, Haplo, because you are a reflection of me. You are my son, as all patrons are my children.
Man, Dad, you really got around.
Have you learned anything new about the 6 Sartan devils that you were researching?
It happens that I'm very close to finishing my research. I have linked 4 of the devils to the spells that they were responsible for, and the other 2 aren't long in coming. Unfortunately, one of those 2 created the Reformation spell, so I cannot stop now. That's the spell I really need. The ones I uncovered, the original Sundering, something called the Interconnection, etc., are useless to me. But as I said, I'm very close.
That's enough for right now. I'd like to talk to you later if you don't mind.
Very well. I'll be here.
Liam Neeson talking about hate. Doesn't hate lead to suffering or something, man? There's clearly a disturbance in the Force here. Well, only one place to go. You call on the power of the steering stone to take you through the Death Gate and into Celestria, world of Wata. Wata! Upon leaving the Death Gate, your ship is surrounded by water. The light from an underwater sun glints off the crystalline domes of orbiting moons. Underneath the nearest, you see an entrance, so you guide your ship inside. Your ship has landed on a beach which rises to a dark cave in a rock wall. A shimmering city lies to the west. You notice that the stone you're holding has started to glow a faint green. It also tingles a bit in your hand. So the stone has detected evil. Interesting. A thick wall surrounds the city-sized glowing dome. In front looms a gate upon whose door is a huge graven spell. You get the distinct impression that you are being watched. Yes, thank you. Use magic on the spell. Spell. Identify. A ward spell is graven onto the city gate. It contains a magic shield around the city which prohibits foreign magic. This includes any magical spells, objects, or creatures, which includes you. Oh, GOG is amazing, yeah. I've bought, I think a dozen games through them now. You walk towards the cave, but as you get closer, you begin to feel fear gnaw at your insides. You felt fear before in the labyrinth, but nothing like this. There's nothing around to inspire such terror, but every step you take towards the cave makes you want to claw your eyes out. By the time you're halfway there, you've collapsed on the ground. Magic, you reason. It must be magic. I'm going to cast Ward on myself. The Ultima games are notoriously touchy. Now, the ward spell cannot be cast by one person. Yeah, Tales of Ultima, or Worlds of Ultima. Interesting. A glowing, transparent dome covers the vague form of the city. You have nothing with which to shoot the magic arrow. Yeah. Martian Dream is actually really good, if a little weird. You pick up a rock, and then another, until you're staggering under the weight of them all. Finally, your strength gives way, and all of the rocks fall back into a pile, coincidentally resuming their original positions and shaping a new pile identical to the old one. Okay. Hey, Snoop Dogg. Alright, well, let's try possessing you again. So he's not interested in digging. Whoa. That's not supposed to happen. Weirdness. I don't think he's actually supposed to be doing that. I don't even think he's supposed to be there. Fortunately, we didn't lose a lot. You see huge, sinuous tracks leading in and out of the cave's mouth. Some debris, including a bone or two, lies strewn among the tracks. Though seemingly a small, self-contained lake, you know from your travels that it empties into the sea that envelops the entire world of Celestria. You carefully place Zifnab's stone on top of the rock pile. As you set it down, the glow fades a bit. You don't dare take your eyes off it, because if the glow left entirely, the stone would look like every other rock in the pile. To keep from losing your favorite stone, you snatch it from the pile. I have absolutely no idea what to do here. I mean, nothing I'm carrying seems like all that good an idea. A glowing translucent dome covers the vague form of a city. You can't open the magic dome. Guys, I'm going to take like a 15-minute break. I need to get some food to make sure I don't pass out while we're talking. I'll be back in a few minutes. So I'm going to talk a little here while I snack break. Nom 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 nom. Food. Who doesn't like food? Really, who doesn't? I mean, I gotta ask. Oh, right. Can't use it. Spider-Man. I haven't got a lot of interest in Spider-Man right now. I had high hopes for this new movie, but so far the trailers haven't done it any good, I don't think. Which is sad to think, really. Oh, that's devious. So which one goes as opposed to... You transfer the symbol from the rune bone onto the city gate. Immediately the rune appears at the end of the spell, modifying it from a powerful ward spell into a possession spell. Since the possession spell has none of the qualities of warding spell, indeed it is a very useless spell to place upon a city gate, the magic dome falls away to reveal the glistening capital city of the Sartan. The sight takes your breath away. You were very close about adding rune bones. Shadow Eater, you're really good at this stuff. You get a cookie. It's got chocolate in it. You find it very hard to regain your lost breath as you are struck by a wave of terror. All the glimmerings you've experienced before this are nothing compared to the fear that grips you. You've never, ever been so afraid. The sheer emotional impact throws you to your knees. Blood rushes in your ears. A shriek emerges from the depths of your being. In the labyrinth, you always used fear to your advantage. It made you quicker, smarter. This fear is unreasoning. You can't control it. You can't use it. You don't even know what's causing it. Wide-eyed, you almost break your neck swinging your head around, trying to spy the source. It isn't long in coming. A black-taloned claw strikes your back and sends you sprawling into the sand. You twist around but cannot rise. You stare into the blood-red eyes of a dragon. They show you your death and you can but gibber in response.
Ah, a patron. I hope that if I let you live and watched for a while, you would succeed where I have failed for so many, many years. And you have. You have opened the city to me. My magic was useless against that infernal spell. But you understand those mystic runes. You changed it somehow. I am grateful to you, patron. In return, I will give you a quick death. Painful to be certain, but quick.
Oops. You find that words completely fail you. You lie helpless, trembling under the claw of this dragon. He rears back, inhaling. Flames leak from his nose and mouth. When he appears about ready to loose his fiery blast, something catches his eye. Immediately he curtails his attack to stare at the brightly glowing stone that Zifnab gave you.
What is this? This wasn't made by that puny rune magic that you use. How did you come by it?
You can't even form the first word of an answer, and it seems that this dragon doesn't really expect one. His other foreclaw reaches out and delicately removes the stone from your possession. He draws the stone up to his eye for a closer inspection. In reaction, he hisses and roars and waves his neck back and forth, wildly, sinuously, spouting flames everywhere.
This should not exist! It is impossible! There is only me, Sangdrax! I am the wave! You don't mind if I relieve you of this stone, do you? You will certainly have no need of it shortly.
He tosses the stone away. It falls on a pile of rocks of similar shape and size. And the only way you can distinguish it from the others is by its shine, which is like the sun. Suddenly, you take notice of a furry form splayed on the ground. You realize that your dog has been silently crawling towards you on its belly, braving the aura of fear that keeps you helpless. Every inch is a struggle, and it seems that at any second the dog will bolt, but it keeps coming. When it gets near, a quiet whimper escapes its throat, barely audible, but loud enough to attract the attention of the dragon.
This is your rescue? A life form lower than yourself? I will give it this. The dog is certainly braver than you, patron.
The dragon rears back and fills the cavern with laughter. This gives the dog just enough time to crawl within reach. It looks at you plaintively, even puts its muzzle in your outstretched hand.
Perhaps the dog is wishing you a fond farewell. It knows what is about to happen. I was simply going to kill you, but I've reconsidered. I won't merely end your life, patron. I will eliminate every trace of you. I am going to destroy your soul. You will no longer exist on this or any other plane. You should not have brought that stone into my presence. Prepare yourself for oblivion, patron.
I'm gonna punch you in the soul! The dragon rears back again. You assume that no distraction is going to keep it from completing its task this time. You take one look at your struggling companion and draw some strength from his bravery. You might have the wherewithal to do something, if only you can figure out what to do. See you around. We'll be here tomorrow, I'm sure. Well, I would crush the stone, but I don't have it. Magic, dog, spell, possession, cast. The soul flies into the dog's body just as Sandrax lets loose the blast of fire. The dog's reflexes leap you away, keeping you from harm. This doesn't save your body, though. The flaming column burns a hole clean through its chest. You can actually see the glowing rock floor below.
Now to take care of his mangy pets.
He breathes in, preparing another blast. Oops. You bolt into the city, narrowly missing the dragon's second torrent of flame. Scared almost out of your mind, you dart into the cluster of buildings. You pad into narrow alleys and twisting side streets. Soon, when you feel you might have lost the dragon, you wander into an open building. Robed figures are filling the seats surrounding you. They all move slowly, yawning as if just awakened. A man in the front notices you and approaches.
What do we have here? A dog? I haven't seen a dog for ages. But then again, I've been asleep for that long. Hello, boy. I'm Sama. How'd you get in here? Did you come with the Sartan forces from the other realms?
He crouches down and gives your head a pat and looks deeply into your eyes. Suddenly, his face grows stone somber and his eyes grow hard. He retracts his hand as if fearful of your biting it off.
This dog is no dog. It is a vessel for another's soul. The soul of a patron.
The councilmen gasp and yell, but Sama waves his hands and the room quiets.
We found no other Sartan, no rescue forces. All we discovered were the charred remains of one man, and these items.
They dump the items onto the floor.
Friends, we have a very unusual situation. Our ward has fallen. This roused us from our slumber as predicted. But instead of greeting the Sartan rescue forces as we expected, all we find is a dog carrying a patron's soul. We need answers, and the only source is this patron. While he exists inside of the dog, he cannot communicate. I suggest that we restore the patron to his original form so that we can question him.
Bring a patron here? To our very heart? Have you forgotten that the patrons are our mortal enemies? I say leave him in the dog's body. Soon he'll forget he ever was a patron, and he'll be no threat to us.
Do you know what is happening out there? Where are our fellows? Why is this patron here? How long have we slept? It is very possible that the patrons have been rehabilitated as intended. Perhaps this is our rescuer. Is this how you would treat such a guest? No. We shall restore him, and we shall have our questions answered then. It is the only way.
Sama, I like you. You're not stupid and insane. You're kind of a shift away from Liam Neeson. I don't know who you look like, but you're not Liam Neeson.
Whatever you might think of me, Councilman, I am no fool. You may prepare the nullification element. We will administer it to the patron after he is restored.
The councilman grunts in approval, then fetches a bottle filled with water. He traces a quick spell in the air which flows into the liquid. After a moment of light, the bottle looks absolutely normal. You notice that, while you were watching the lone Sartan in his bottle, the entire council is gathered around you. Together, they weave an incredibly complex spell that appears to require all of them. Like a blanket, the spell falls over you and sinks into your flesh. The dog's body reacts violently to the Sartan magic. Limbs stretch, tendons pop, your bones start to expand and twist. You let loose yowls of pain, one after another, but notice that each one sounds a little more like a human scream than the last. Finally, you lay on the ground, panting and hurting, but in what seems to be your old, comfortable body. You feel hands draw you up and clothe you in the garments that remain from the dragon's attack, which, since you had a hole in your chest, means that you're, walking around like Fabio. Then someone pours cool, clean water down your throat. You accept it eagerly.
What have you done to me, Sartan? You've taken my magic away!
You drink all of the water offered and soon notice a tingling sensation. Somehow the water has removed your ability to cast spells. You were helpless as a newborn against these Sartan.
Calm, my friend. What we have done is temporary, and for your protection as much as ours. You have imbibed some nullified water. This eliminates all of your magical possibilities. While you cannot bring any possibilities into this reality, neither can any be placed upon you. This means that although you cannot cast any spells, you are invulnerable to others' magic as well. You have been nullified. It will continue for only as long as we need to question you. Now let us begin. Who are you? Why are you here? How did you get into the city?
Aren't you the same Sama who originally sundered the world? Who banished my people into the labyrinth?
Yes, I am that. I know that you can't understand this, but it was all necessary. It was part of a larger plan. I'll explain everything after you tell me what you know.
Do you know how long you've been sleeping?
Not really. I'm starting to think that it may have been much longer than I intended.
You've been...
2,000 years? How is that possible? You must tell me what has happened. This just keeps getting more confusing.
I'm not talking.
I hope you reconsider. In you lies the key to this mystery, and we need it. May I remind you that you are helpless. I do not want to resort to threats, but we must be frank with each other. Time is short.
And so am I.
Why should I trust you?
I'm not sure why you shouldn't. I don't even know if we should be enemies. I'm relying on you to tell me this. I'll make you this promise. If you are honest and forthright with me, I will respond to you in kind. I'll answer any questions you have. Now please, tell me what you know.
All right, Sartan. You want the truth? I'll give it to you.
You launch into a tirade, personally blaming Sama for leaving the labyrinth masterless, turning it into a slaughterhouse that thirsted for your people's death. You recount the thousands of years of struggle and bloodshed which even now plagues your race. You describe your lord's unprecedented escape and tell how he selflessly and safely led others, including yourself, out of the labyrinth. You state that his thirst for revenge against the Sartan is unequaled.
If you kill me, others will follow. Even now, our army outnumbers that of the surviving Sartan. I've seen your forces. I know where they are, and I know that my lord will destroy them effortlessly. You can't win.
You continue by recounting your experiences and describing the state of the Sartan on each of the worlds. Sama cries openly at the description of the dead Sartan and their crystal resting places on Arianis. He seems genuinely confused by the antics of Zifnab on Prian. He recoils on learning of the practice of necromancy on Abarak, and he listens closely to your account of the account of your battle with Sangdrax and your escape.
I have much to say about what you have told me. Your people, you have been wronged. I wish I could change what has happened, but I cannot. It seems that we took on far too much. We thought we were gods, that we were infallible. We weren't. And both of our races have paid the price. However insane you think it might have been, there was a purpose to the plan. We tried to create worlds in which the Mensch would thrive once they were united and the realms were interconnected. What your lord seeks to do is collect all of the seal pieces to reform the original world. He doesn't understand what this means. His efforts will result in the death of many of the Mensch left alive in the new realms. Perhaps he does understand. By decimating the opposing force even before the war is joined, he ensures his success. I'm not sure the Mensch left alive will enjoy the slavery he undoubtedly plans for them. What he may not realize is that this will affect his own race as well. Many of his people will die in the Reformation. Do you think he would risk that?
I have no idea. Do you think he would? Actually, I think he would. You consider. You know your lord's ambition. From his research, he probably already knows how the Reformation will affect the Mensch, and you suspect that he may be willing to sacrifice his own people to further the cause of conquest. You understand that he views you individually as expendable, but just how far does his view of expendability extend? He has claimed in the past that there are always casualties of war.
You may be right, Sama. I'm not sure about your plan, but perhaps the Reformation isn't the correct path. I'll return to my lord and discuss it. For now, I'll leave your seal piece here.
I'm very glad that you see things this way. I hope that we can begin a new era of peace together. Go back to your lord. Tell him that I will gladly speak with him. But I have one important question before you go. What exactly happened to Sangdrax after you escaped from him?
As you consider the question, one of the men who brought your possessions into the room begins to writhe. He tears off his robes and metamorphosizes into the gigantic shape of Sangdrax. The Sartan dive for safety behind the benches. Only Sama and yourself remain standing in the open. Sangdrax ignores the assembly, glides over to the seal piece upon the wall, and grabs it between two talons.
Thank you, patron, for painting such a vivid picture of all of the worlds, including your own, that lovely place called the Labyrinth. Definitely a realm after my own heart. You see, I feed on fear and chaos, and I can't see a better way to produce such things than by allowing your lord to proceed with his plan. However, since you appear to have lost your nerve, I'll have to take your place.
Your lord trusts you, does he not? Especially when you are doing what he wants. I shall take your ship, go to the Nexus, and deliver this seal piece to him. I'm guessing that it will complete his collection. Then I shall lead him to the Vortex where he can perform the rite of reformation. I'm so sorry you decided to turn against your lord. I'm sure that he doesn't view traitors in a very good light. I do hope you won't die in the ensuing chaos, all of you. I'd love to meet you again. We have much to discuss, and an eternity of pain during which we can discuss it.
He strolls out of the building before you can say a word. Only after the dragon has left do the councilmen emerge. Sama unclenches his jaw and forces himself to stop shaking.
Can't you stop Sangdrax?
No, I'm afraid not. His magic is too powerful for us to oppose. When we first arrived here, we built this city and placed the Mensch inside the other sea moons. Stone-enclosed islands, much like this one. Shortly thereafter, Sangdrax appeared. We don't know where he came from. Unprovoked, he launched an attack against us. He never destroyed us all, just killed a few people. But it was enough to keep us scared and confused. We never had a chance to defeat him. He commands some form of magic that is foreign to us, more powerful than the rune-based magic that we use. We erected the ward around the city as a last-ditch effort against him. Evidently, it worked. The ward was designed to keep out all foreign magic. Since he consisted almost entirely of pure magic, he could not enter.
Thou shalt not pass!
We decided to enter our sleep capsules. We expected that when the others had learned that we were in danger, they would gather here to help us defeat Sangdrax. We keyed our awakening to occur when the ward had fallen, assuming that it would happen only when the other Sartan had arrived.
We were wrong.
We never dreamed that thousands of years would pass before the ward fell. Now that it has, Sangdrax is loose. Not only is he a threat to us, but with your ship, he has access to all of the worlds. And if he succeeds in causing the Reformation, we'll all probably die in the process anyway.
You know, Zifnab gave me a stone to use against some ultimate evil. Do you think this might prove effective against Sangdrax?
I don't know. Tell me about it. It sounds like this might be some other kind of magic. Perhaps made from the same source that created Sangdrax himself. It may be that Sangdrax is vulnerable to it. Where is it? I didn't see it along with your possessions.
Oh, well, I hid it for safekeeping. Never can be too careful, you know.
I hope you didn't hide it on your ship. Now that Sangdrax has taken it, I'd get it back as soon as possible. By the way he reacted to it, it sounds like that stone is our only hope to defeat Sangdrax.
Why wasn't I affected by the dragon's aura of fear? It sure had me in its grasp last time I encountered it.
That's because you had been nullified. Remember, nullifying water eliminates your vulnerability to magic, as well as your ability to cast spells. Sangdrax's aura of fear didn't affect you because no magic could affect you.
If that's so, why didn't you all tank up with the water and go after him? His magic wouldn't do a thing against you.
This is true. Although we would be helpless as well as invulnerable. While the water was in effect, we would not be able to use our magic against Sangdrax. We could only confront him physically. He can choose any form. In a purely physical battle, he would destroy us hands down.
I mean, he's a dragon and they're a bunch of, like, white guys.
How did Sangdrax take my form?
That's one of his powers. He can assume the form of anyone or anything he desires. The talent renders him insidious, as well as invincible.
So he's a Marty Stew. Got it.
Where is Sangdrax leading, my lord? The Vortex?
Yes. The Vortex is the one place that the Reformation ritual can be enacted. It is where we originally sundered the world. It's also the only place where the interconnection can begin.
Where is the Vortex?
The only place from which the Vortex can be entered is in the Labyrinth. We reasoned that this would be the safest place to hide the portal. It may be that your lord will balk at traveling the length of the Labyrinth again the wrong way, but Sangdrax can be very persuasive. He will convince him, one way or another.
What exactly is the interconnection?
We designed the realms to work together. Each had specific functions to perform in the overall plan. The interconnection was to tie all of the worlds together. Abarak would produce raw materials. Arianas would take those materials and refine them to produce manufactured goods. Prian would supply power to the other worlds. Chalestra was to provide a place for most of the people to live and purify some of the toxins from the other worlds, notably Abarak. The realms were never designed to survive on their own for an extended time, and yet that's exactly what they've had to do. It's not too late, though. From what you've told me, Abarak is dying. The interconnection is the only thing that can save it. It's the only alternative to Reformation.
So interconnection or Reformation. So my choice of big words, I guess.
How do you start the interconnection?
Much like the Reformation, it requires all 5 of the seal pieces. In the center of the vortex is a floating island. It has 4 spires. Each spire represents an element: air, fire, stone, and water. The seal pieces must be placed upon each corresponding spire. Then the spell itself must be ignited. This is done by placing the focus over the correct rune and inserting the Nexus seal piece into it.
Spires? Focus? What are you talking about?
Well, you did ask.
Yeah, dumb.
The floor of the island is laid out with many interconnecting runes. Each rune can be used to ignite a distinct spell. Depending on the rune you choose, the function of the spell will be different. The Reformation requires that the spell be ignited from one particular rune. The interconnection, another.
I'm smelling a puzzle.
The focus is a hexagonal frame that floats over the island's floor. You can move it over the rune of your choice. When you place the Nexus seal piece inside of it, the focus automatically ignites the rune under it, which casts the spell.
Which is the starting rune for the interconnection spell?
It would be too difficult to describe. Though I will tell you that we left the focus over that rune. We intended to return and ignite the interconnection spell someday.
Let's back up a step.
Certainly.
Do you have another ship that I can use to pursue him?
Yes, certainly. In fact, as we've been speaking, I've had another ship placed in the same port where you landed. You're welcome to it. There is, however, one problem. We seem to be a little short on steering stones.
Of course.
It takes quite a while to magically prepare a stone sphere to accept the naming runes that guide a ship through the Death Gate. The only such stone we have is the ceremonial globe in this very chamber, and you can't use that.
Don't you think saving the worlds is worth sacrificing your precious ceremonial globe?
Not at all. You see, the globe was placed in this room before the building's construction was complete. It's too large to fit through any of the exits. It's also far too heavy to move any distance by hand. You're welcome to it if you can find a way to transport it. But then, it doesn't have any of the naming runes on it anyway. I don't think that the globe is the solution to this problem.
Then what is?
Can you talk a little about the other worlds?
Very well. What would you like to know?
Do you know who Zifnab is?
I know of no Zifnab, but I doubt that is his true name. He sounds like a valuable ally if he knows as much as you say and has access to magic outside of our mastery.
Why'd you react so strongly when I told you about necromancy?
Necromancy was banned for many reasons soon after it was discovered. The most important reason being that when someone dead is raised, someone else will die untimely. This maintains the balance. By relying on necromancy, the people of Abarak have doomed our race. The magic doesn't recognize the boundaries of the realms. It kills Sartan as far away as Arianas and Prion. It wiped out thousands.
Wow.
Why is everyone here alive and well?
Bogus.
It's actually ironic. The ward that we constructed to repel the magic of Sangdrax must have had the effect of repelling the magic of necromancy as well. It kept us alive against two dangers. But now, we only have hundreds of people left, where once we had tens of thousands. We shall try to reconstruct our lives, to help our brethren on Abarak, if there is a world left to live on.
Let's go back a step.
Certainly.
I don't have time for talk. Now's the time for action.
Very well. If I can be of any further assistance, do not hesitate to ask.
Conversation clear. Yay! You notice that sometime during your conversation with Sama, the nullification spell wore off. You have command of your magic again. You have also learned a new spell. What new spell did I learn? Null water. Okay. Gonna do a quick save. The stand has been affixed to the floor. Big surprise, huh? You get behind the globe and push it with all of your might. The stone sphere creaks, then rolls off the stand, bounces down the step, and ends up on the carpet. There it slows to a stop. Impatient, the councilman regards your antics with obvious annoyance. The carpet takes up most of the speaking area's floor. It depicts a beautiful scene. A single tree stands in a lush field. I already know how to deal with this. Use magic on the floor. Spell. Create reality pocket. You trace the familiar spell in the air. When it takes effect, it's as if the picture in the carpet comes into focus, taking on a new dimension. The scene, a single tree in a lush clearing, is real. The globe sitting on top of the carpet simply drops into the scene. It rolls until it hits the tree there, and then stops. Now we take the rug. I'm also going to cast spell Null Water on this water to create nullified water. No, it only works on small quantities. Okay. Do I have like a bottle? Oh, you fill up the bottle with water. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to cast magic spell. Not self-immolation. The spell surrounds the bottle of water. After a few seconds it has done its work. Although the water looks the same, you know that it has the magic nullifying effects that you experienced earlier. So hey, I absolutely have magic water. Water! I have to wonder, what happens if I do cast self-immolation? Like an artist, you carefully draw the rune structure in the air. It floats close and slips inside your chest. Instantly, it feels as if your heart has caught fire. You scream and scream until the fire eats away your lungs and throat. After that, you don't have much to scream about, or with. You're dead. Alright, let's go into the cave. Well, okay. Let's drink the null water. You take a swig of the water. Immediately you sense the effect. Your magic power drains away, making you feel as helpless as a newborn. But this also means that foreign magic cannot affect you. The rug reverts back to its original state. Okay, there's no doubt the Sangdrax calls this cave home. Blood streaks the walls, and the floor is littered with the remains of previous meals. I take some scales for reasons I don't know. These must be the bones of poor fools who chanced upon Sangdrax. The remains are of all races. It appears that the dragon doesn't discriminate. How in the world do I keep getting smell? Also, lest I forget, you stare at the dragon scales in your hand. Their magic suddenly becomes active. Fear drives through your brain like red-hot nails. With the source of the fear magic so close, it's more than your sanity can withstand. You spend the rest of your life gibbering unintelligibly and not playing adventure games. What hell? Alright, so that was a bad idea. How about we put those in the null water? Boy. This might not be good. Because I don't know how I'm supposed to undo that. I wanted to drink it. Now that Sangdrax has left, the stone is no longer reacting to the magic by glowing. Seems like every other rock on the pile. Finding it is going to be an impossible chore. You spread the dragon scales over the pile of rocks. As you hoped, Zifnab's rock reacts to the magic in the scales by glowing. Now the rock is very visible and easily distinguishable from the other stones in the pile. take the rock. Get in the ship. Put the rug up. Wait. Okay, my magic works again. I can now cast the spell of Create Reality Pocket. Cast Reality Pocket on the rug. You trace the familiar spell. The scene, a single tree in the lush clearing, is real. And then we enter. No, put it back up there. And then let's give the rock a push. Again, you gather your strength and heave the boulder-like globe towards the portal. It rolls without much problem. In fact, as soon as the globe is partway through it, gravity on the far side grabs the sphere from your hands. The globe disappears. Go back through the portal. Use the magic of rune transfer on the pendant. Transfer them all to the globe. You take the dragon ship back through the Death Gate and return to the Nexus. I can steal his history book finally. Oh god, more reading. The History of the Sundering. Starring Sir not appearing in this game. The Vortex. Aeons ago, the Vortex was discovered. It was a place outside reality as we know it. In fact, it appeared to be a reality unto itself. It was a place of great power. Researchers theorized that it might be the actual source of magic. It remains a place of mystery. As much is known about it, much more escapes us. It was the perfect place to actualize the plan. In order to defeat the enemy and create the new worlds that Sama visualized, we had to sunder the world into 5 realms: air, fire, stone, water, and the labyrinth, 4 to give to the mensch, and 1 to imprison the patrons. Not only would we be removed from the earth while this happened, we would be able to draw upon the perfect magic of the vortex to make it happen. We needed an instrument to focus the magic of the vortex, so we created an island of stone that floated over its very heart. Upon it we inscribed a rune structure unlike any other. Indeed, this was a spell, but not just a spell. It was many spells intertwined into one structure. Every spell has a starting rune. When a wizard traces a spell, the magic flows from the starting rune into the other runes. Upon completion, the spell is defined and it is cast. This rune structure is very different. It combines many different possible starting runes. When the magic is introduced upon one of these starting runes, the spell is defined and cast. There is a compelling reason for this. Along with being used to sunder the world, the island was designed to serve additional functions. Shortly after the sundering, the same rune structure created a conduit between the worlds. It is currently used to transport people and cargo from realm to realm. Using the Death Gate, we were able to populate the realms with the mensch we had selected. All that was required was a fleet of ships outfitted with the steering stones containing the naming rune of each of the target realms. The Death Gate has a grander purpose though. When the mensch have settled and we reawaken, the rune structure will be used again to interconnect the worlds. Power and materials will freely flow from realm to realm, depending on need. After this interconnection, various spells can regulate and modify the system. We've included all of these in the rune structure. We've also included a failsafe spell. Should something go drastically wrong with the sundering, the spell exists to reform the single world from the 5 realms. We don't anticipate using this spell, but it exists just in case. The Island. The activation of a spell from the island's rune structure is relatively simple, but the execution of the spell must be exact. The island has been keyed to work only in the presence of the World Seal, or in the current case, all 5 of the pieces. The island is home to 4 spires which encircle the rune structure, 1 to represent each of the elements. To awaken the island's magic, each seal piece must be placed upon its respective column. The procedure has an interesting side effect. Whenever a seal piece is placed upon its counterpart column, it generates an elemental storm. Everything on the island will be bathed in that element: tornado force winds, a firestorm, an avalanche of rock, or a deluge of water. We couldn't comfortably cast our spells while being attacked by the elements, so we placed the rune structure inside of a warded circle. Everything inside of the circle is completely safe. While safely ensconced within the ward, even the storming elements become no more than a spectacle to observe. When all 4 of the pieces have been placed, the island is primed. it is ready to cast whatever spell the operator wishes. The choice is made using the focus, which resembles a floating hexagonal frame. It must be placed over the desired starting rune, after which the remaining seal piece, that of the Nexus, is set inside of the focus. This will ignite and cast the selected spell. 6 men were dedicated to creating and intermingling the spells carried by the island. They are Sama, Dimitri, Borsef, Nornoy, Tyler, and Wealth. Indisputably 6 of the greatest contemporary Sartan magicians. Each spell was tasked with producing a single spell, and we will discuss each individually, so that you have much more to read. Naturally, Sama directed his starting rune, so the center is the starting rune. Dimitri is the loop. Orsaf, Lornoy, Tylor, and Wealth, or Wealith. And notice that the Nexus seal piece is already gone. And the labyrinth is open. The remains of previous explorers of the Field of Vines are wrapped tightly around the spires. The bodies are both man and animal shape. You recall when you escaped the labyrinth. The choke vines weren't much of a problem then. It was winter and the season drove the vines into a type of hibernation. They couldn't move in the cold. Now that the weather is warmer, they thrive and force you to deal with them in order to cross. Yes, well. No, not on the remains. No, not on the remains. Boy, it'd be really nice if I had a dog right now. Spell. Cold. The cold spell floats over the sea of twisting vines. It expands and drops over the field like a blanket. As it does, you see frost form. The vines begin to move more and more slowly until they are torpid, completely still. 10 points to Gryffindor. You stumble out of the brush only to come face to face with 3 wounded tiger creatures. Unfortunately, what you know of the labyrinth tells you that the only thing more dangerous than a tiger creature is a wounded one. They stare at you in surprise, then let out a growl one tends to leap. You don't have time to do much but run. Hi, tiger guys. I'm gonna cast Hunger on you. Ah, the perfect spell! Not only do you want the tiger creatures to be thirsty for your blood, but hungry for your flesh as well. Rest assured that once the creature catches up, he'll make a grand meal of you. The tiger creatures fall on you in a fury of teeth and claws. At that moment, everything in the world is sharp and covered with blood. You discover that without an effective plan, a lone patron can simply not defend against these creatures. Well, that was kind of a derp spell to cast, I guess. I'm gonna bake you guys. Oops, that was not the right spell either. Oh no. Or maybe there isn't a right spell. Oops. I see. We will warm you bastards back up. The frost disappears as the heat spell takes hold. At first the plants move sluggishly, but as the torpidity subsides, they resume their normal activity. The tiger creatures are caught in the middle of the field when the vines awaken. The plants wrap around their struggling prey and drag them off to separate spires. With wild eyes, the tiger creatures watch lightning strike a spire only a few hundred yards to the west. It then strikes the next closest spire and proceeds to work its way down the line. Soon the lightning blasts the two closest spires. The stench of cooking tiger meat reaches you even here. Well, you guys are hella dead, friend. And of course I gotta freeze him again. The fire pit looks well used. The tiger creatures have camped here for some time. You wonder how this has affected the nearby village. I'll take this bone, thank you. Half-buried bones stick up from the ground. These are obviously the remains of the tiger men. It appears that they are just as sophisticated enough to bury their dead. It must have been a tough decision for them. Respect their fallen comrades, or eat them. The crude cave painting depicts a dark god of the tiger creatures, presumably death, chasing after its tiny feline followers and shooting bolts of lightning. It is clothed in a black robe which shows only a skull-like head. It's an interesting addition to the Tiger Man religion. Intriguing. You stand on the outskirts of a village in the throes of battle. A pack of tiger men circle a group of patrons huddled under a magic shield. I think I'll take this, and I'm already wearing this. And I will... You slip the robe over the Tiger Man's skull and reach your arm through it, your hand manipulating the jawbone. You do a quick ventriloquist act, including some hilarious one-liners about how many tiger creatures does it take to screw in a glow lamp, but quickly become bored, so you disassemble your creation, but not before noticing its resemblance to the painting in the cave. Deathgate indeed. Almost done, too. Well, I kind of wanted you to put it on a spire. An idea forms. You hurl the zinger into the mass of twisting vines. They snatch it out of the air and carry it off to the nearest spire. Predictably, lightning strikes the spire, but instead of destroying the Sartan artifact, the energy is totally absorbed by the zinger. It recharges itself with the power of the lightning. Now, I need to, again, chill them so they'll fucking lay down. Retake my zinger, which is now electric. You slip the robe over the electric zinger. You slip the tiger creature's skull over the central prong of the electric zinger. You pull the switch attached to the electric zinger. The contraption flies out of your hands, twisting and turning in the air, accompanied by a screeching metallic whine. The black robe flops back and forth, and lightning flies from the eyes of the mounted skull. All of the combatants stare up at the apparition. The tiger creatures point and hiss at the flying sideshow, and then scatter in random directions, pure terror in their eyes. When the zinger's power drains, it drops out of sight somewhere in the forest. The shield around the huddled villagers finally falls. Methodically, they begin to scatter through the village, locating and tending to the wounded. One man, seriously injured, lies in front of you. The headman of the village, who valiantly supported the magic shield for so long, approaches the wounded man and summons a healer. A nervous, young-looking woman rushes over, nearly dropping her package of healing herbs and implements. She surveys the horrible wound sustained by the fallen patron and gasps, but a stern look from the headman prods her into her routine. She tries to clean and dress the wounds, but they are too severe. You can tell that she is inexperienced and that this case is too much for her. Because of the severity of the man's wounds, you end up emptying the crock of healing salve over his chest. You can see the gashes close up in the space of a few heartbeats. The healer gasps, but the headman nods. He looks at you with newfound respect. The healer is shocked, but she doesn't let this amazing development slow her down. Quickly, she packs away all of her tools and moves on to help other villagers. In her haste, she drops a cord presumably used to stitch wounds. The headman stays on to direct the healthy patrons to packing up the village. It appears that he plans to quit this site soon.
You healed me, brought me back from the brink of death. I am indebted to you.
I hear you're a pretty good tracker.
I know the labyrinth. I know its signs. I can sense how it changes, sometimes even how it will change. If I find the start of a trail, I will never lose my way.
Do you think you could help me?
Of course. I'm in your debt. Tell me what I must do to absolve myself of it.
I'm on the trail of Lord Czar and his companion, who happens to be a shape-shifting dragon. Do you think you can find them?
Of course. That's what I do.
I find
will accompany
dragons.
you while I track them. When I'm certain that we've found them, my obligation to you is resolved. I must return to my village.
That's what you do? You track dragons and lord guys. Hey, whatever makes you happy.
I never expected you to return. I should kill you for what you've done. If you hadn't driven those tiger creatures off, I would kill you. Why you did that after you led them here in the first place is beyond me. Leave me now. You've done enough damage.
What are you talking about? I didn't lead the creatures here.
Of course you did. Not more than 2 hours ago, you and Lord Czar passed through this village. Unwittingly, we helped you. We gave you current directions towards the center because for some reason that's where you wanted to go. You were very pleasant then. You thanked us and went on your way. Shortly thereafter, you returned alone, leading a charge of the tiger creatures. During the battle, you disappeared. I don't know why I don't gut you right now. We lost more men in the skirmish than we have in a month of fighting. Now this encampment is compromised. We'll have to move as soon as we're able, and we have you to thank for it.
You're welcome.
Well, you're welcome.
Can't you recognize sarcasm? Get out of here before I forget my oath of hospitality. Are you still here? If you don't leave soon, my patience will come to an end and I'll kill you where you stand. I can't stomach traitors.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it doesn't matter. Can I help you with your wounded?
We have a healer. Even if we didn't, I wouldn't let you anywhere near our wounded. Who knows what macabre designs you have on them?
As much as I'd like to stay and talk, I have pressing business elsewhere.
I'd like nothing more than to see you walking away. Perhaps by allowing you to live, I'll be giving the labyrinth a chance to kill you slowly. One can only hope. A traitor deserves nothing more.
Fine, whatever, you're an asshole. You poke your head into one of the shelters, but find it crowded with wounded, so you quickly depart. Traveling at a pace you have trouble matching and discovering small clues you would have never found, and the tracker leads you through the dark wood. Eventually you come upon a huge cave. A monster, which resembles a huge insect though much more formidable, stands guard outside.
The trail leads here into that cave. I've seen this cave before. There is no exit. Your quarry lies inside. The creature guarding the entrance is a Chaodan. I've only encountered their like once or twice before, and I can tell you this. If you spill its blood, every drop will grow into a duplicate of the monster.
Wow.
Only by killing it before it bleeds, usually with a precise thrust through its heart, can you keep it from regenerating. A sloppy attack, and you'll have an army of these things to contend with. Usually the best way to deal with this type of beast is to avoid it. I don't think you've got that luxury, though. If you're going into that cave, you'll have to go through the Chaoden. My obligation to you is over. I've led you to the end of the trail. The people of my village need my help, so I must return. Good luck.
The tracker bolts into the wood. Between the one moment and the next, you've lost all trace of him. You're now alone, save for the delightful company of the Chaoden, however. Sup, Chinky? I mean, like, he's got... I'm looking for chinks in his armor and shit. Attack! With abandon, and little else, including good sense, you leap to attack the Chaoden with the rusty garden shear. The element of surprise gives you time for one clean swipe. You manage to slice off one of the monster's pincers. The Chaoden screeches and fountains of green ichor-like blood from the wound. As each drop strikes the ground, a new Chaoden magically forms, each with bloodlust in its compound eyes. Soon you are surrounded by an army of giant insects, and even a rusty shear can't fend them off. Yay, I have a bow! You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shoot an arrow at it. With amazing accuracy, far more than you would have expected from such a primitive bow, you loose the arrow at the monster. The arrow penetrates straight through its heart and the beast falls dead before a drop of blood can fall. Unfortunately, the arrow has buried itself so deeply into the creature it can't be retrieved. Yeah, well, it's dead, and that's all I really care about. You walk toward the cave, but a familiar wave of fear washes over you. The leaden weight of terror pulls you to your knees. You can't force yourself to enter the opening. Good thing I brought some null water with me. So where are we on score? 1995, or 1195 of 1500.
I've been expecting you, patron. I knew that the obstacles I placed would do no more than delay you, but they gave me enough time to find the portal to the vortex. Czar is there now, waiting for me. As soon as I take care of you, I'll return to complete my task.
Yes, well, no you won't. You press on the stone and it collapses in the palm of your hand like a wad of paper. The green glow explodes around you, blinding you. When the spinning colors fade, you see that somehow the stone has summoned Zifnab, mounted atop his dragon. You're so stunned by the sight that you drop the bottle you carry to the cave floor where it shatters. Sangdrax hisses with anger and disbelief. His fury takes control, and lightning quick he lashes out at the pair. He tries to bury his fangs into the neck of the new dragon to inject his deadly venom into its body, but Zifnab's dragon is too fast. He rakes a claw across Sangdrax's face and forces him back into the cave wall. The impact shakes the cave and stuns Sangdrax. The good dragon takes the opportunity to place Zifnab out of harm's way, but Sangdrax springs up and pounces while the other dragon is turned. His back claws rip through the thin membrane covering the good dragon's wings. When the good dragon finally forces Sangdrax away, he is left with strips of loose flesh hanging from the bones that once supported his glorious wings. He retreats from Sangdrax, dragging his wings and leaving a trail of blood behind him. Sangdrax laughs and positions himself for the death blow. Sangdrax leaps, but Zifnab's dragon dives beneath the attack, less wounded than he appeared to be. He sinks his teeth into Sangdrax's exposed underbelly and tears a sizable chunk of flesh from his chest. Sangdrax screams and races away into the fight. Races away from the fight, towards the back of the cave. He sinks into the darkness until all you see are two red glowing eyes.
You haven't beaten me. When I've led Czar to the vortex, he'll reform the world and this place will be no more. I don't think you'll survive. But if somehow you do, we'll meet again, and then I'll have my revenge.
The red eyes wink out, and Sangdrax is gone. The dragon's beauty is marred by horrible red wounds along his back. His eyes are half-lidded, not in sleep this time, but in pain.
And I was just getting into the shower. You call it the most inopportune times, Haplo. You've a knack for getting into trouble, my boy, and this is a doozy. My. Face to face with the embodiment of evil. You've had a full day. And look what happened to my dragon. I'm afraid this is going to have to come out of your security deposit.
That's all the rock did? Summon you here?
What did you expect it to do? Wasn't that enough? I think that I did a mite better than you would have in this fight. Well, I did have a little help. Nonetheless, we saved your bacon, and I think we deserve a little gratitude.
My thanks, Zifnab. I appreciate your help.
Of course you do. It's always nice to have the side of good rescue you from certain death. Every time it happens to me, I get goosebumps. There's nothing better, I tell you, except maybe a really good pastrami sandwich with extra mayo.
You don't put mayo on pastrami! Okay. Sorry.
Why did you let Sangdrax escape?
I didn't see you there slugging it out with Sangdrax. I think my dragon did an admirable job in driving him off. Sangdrax is weak and desperate. He'll be much more likely to make a mistake now.
Where did the evil dragon go?
He slipped out the portal. You see, thousands of years ago, Sama hid the magic portal to the vortex in the labyrinth, here in this cave to be exact. He figured that it would be the safest place to do so. No one would come back into the labyrinth to find it. The portal leads directly to the outskirts of the vortex. We must assume that Sangdrax has already escorted Zar there. In fact, they'll probably go directly to the floating island. Very soon, Zar will begin the Reformation, unless we stop him.
Is your dragon all right?
He doesn't look good. Sangdrax did quite a job on his wings. He got his comeuppance, though. Did you see those wounds on his face and chest? Those will smart for a few hundred years, mark my words. He won't even be able to change form to heal them. When you get wounds like that, they stay for dinner.
Okay. Staying for dinner.
What do we do now?
Well, that's simple. We go after him. We have to stop him before he leads Zar to the center of the vortex. They have all of the seal pieces which you were so kind as to supply, so nothing stands in the way of the Reformation. Whenever you're ready, I'll take us through the portal to the vortex.
All right, I'm ready to go. Take us through, Zifnab.
Very well. Climb up on my dragon and I'll take us all through. My dragon is wounded, Mr. Insensitive. Why don't you get rid of some of that heavy junk that you've been toting around? It'll make the trip that much easier for him.
With a shrug, you go through your belongings and toss aside everything that appears useless. After you're done, Zifnab doesn't say anything more about it, so that you guess that you've offloaded enough. You and Zifnab mount the wounded dragon. Zifnab traces a complex spell which grows to a glowing hoop in space, large enough to even accommodate the dragon. Painfully, the dragon steps through, and a thunderclap later, you arrive at Halo. I mean the edge of the vortex. So I still have the rusty shear, all these useless books, the pendant, the cloth. Why do I have some of this stuff?
What did you expect to happen? Without the seal pieces, it doesn't do anything. Unless you were going up there to give a speech. In that case, proceed.
You think about it and then decide to just step down instead. The other Haplo simply repeats everything you say at the same time you say it. In actuality, it's pretty annoying. Your double doesn't pay any attention to the shear that you hold towards him. Your double holds his own shear towards you. I'm going to unravel illusion. You trace the rune structure in the air. As soon as you complete it, the spell races towards your double, but stops and dissolves as it passes through the arch. Something about the arch keeps magic from reaching him. You cannot directly cast a spell on your double. Your double traces in the same spell in the air, but reversed like a mirror. The spell he tries to cast isn't real, so it doesn't work. As you try to pass through the arch, your double does the same thing. You end up bumping into each other, and no one gets anywhere. I'm going to cast Unravel Illusion on myself. You either cast the spell on you cast the spell on you, but evidently there was no illusion there. Either that or it was more clever than you. Your double traces the same spell in the air, but reversed like a mirror. The spell he tries to cast isn't real, so it doesn't work. So I basically need to cast unravel illusion backwards. Which is going to be interesting because I don't know quite how this works. I mean, can I cast this backwards? Do I have the right pieces? Well, I know it's that one and that one. Except that's not really the way I want them to fit together. Yeah, that's the wrong one. Great, I can't remember how it works. Of course, right on top. Thanks. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, except some of those pieces don't exist in the other order either, so that I don't think that's right. Oh, well. Okay, how about I cast the right spell? That makes more sense. I wondered what the purpose of that spell was. Oh, that one's pretty simple. No, not that one. That's the wrong one. That's the right one. Except that's not right either. Okay, so it's... Boy, if I could actually just, like, pick the pieces, this would be a lot easier. Where's the one I'm looking for? There it is. And then you. And then cast it on myself. Huzzah! I burned myself. You cast the nonsense spell into the air. Of course, the spell does nothing, but your double cast the spell's mirror image. That does happen to be a real spell. In fact, the spell that he casts is self-immolation. It dives into his body and burns it into ashes. His clothes and possessions fall to the ground. Apparently in possession, he only had one. You search through your devil's remains and discover duplicates of everything that you carry. Wow. Double up. It'd be funnier if they were, you know, backwards. Grayish-green slimy tentacles snake out from somewhere below the path. They twitch and reach out for you. You knock out the connecting bolt from one of the blades and snap them both together. The result is a complete set of garden shears. Finally! A tentacle whips out from under the path, wraps around your leg, and tugs at it. You feel you might be able to pull away, but if you move forward, you'll enter a whole nest of them. Icky. I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. No, don't cast magic on the paths. Sorry, that only works on one kind of writhing tentacle. Boy, there sure do seem to be a lot of them around here. Okay, it's not a higher life form, so I can't do that. Can I cast Possession? I don't know why I'd want to, but I can. Well, you cast the spell, the tentacles wrap around you and start to drag you underneath the path. You don't worry because you figure that as soon as you've taken over whatever this creature is, you'll have it place your body safely back on the path. The familiar darkness takes over, but by the time you come to your senses, you see that you've accidentally dropped your lifeless body into the vortex. You spend the rest of your life as the tentacled guardian, but don't worry, after a while you actually start to kind of like it. That was a good idea. Well, it's got to be a spell of some variety, but I wish I could tell which one. The tentacle doesn't have the ability to feel hungry, so the spell has no effect. It's a good thing I don't have magic points. I can't think of a spell that would do anything here. And it doesn't want me to cut the tentacles. With a quick snip, you cut the tentacle away, but two remain wrapped around you. Ha ha! With a quick snip, you cut the tentacle away. The ichor-covered stump draws back under the path along with the remainder of the tentacles. The creature has evidently had enough. The floating island is suspended over the center of the vortex. A circular platform in the center has 4 spires along its perimeter. You come upon Lord Czar standing in the center of the island. He holds all the seal pieces in his hands and is closely examining the focus. Off to one side you see Sangdrax in your form watching patiently. On your arrival, Czar's head snaps back up and he regards you in shock and surprise.
What are you? Some kind of phantasm born of the vortex? I can feel the wild magic around us. Are you part of that?
I am no phantasm. I am the true Haplo. Your companion is a dragon who has taken my form to trick you into destroying the world. He has tried his best to keep me from following you here, but here I am. You must stop what you are doing, my lord. The Reformation will not be what you expect. Many will die, including our own race. My lord, it's obvious that this is some trick, some manifestation of the Vortex's wild magic. Why it spouts lies to stop you from claiming your rightful heritage, I don't know. But don't spare it a thought. Continue with the ritual, and I will deal with my double.
Sangdrax's eyes flash red as he turns to you with a grin that shows razor-sharp teeth. The scar left by Zifnab's dragon on his face only makes him more menacing.
What you say makes sense, my son, but something about this doesn't ring true. Can you prove your words? Are you the real Haplo? Or is this, as my companion claims, just a hollow trick?
It's no trick. I can prove I'm Haplo. Remember our conversation about heart runes? They name us. They give us our magic. They are the center of our beings. If they are torn or broken, we fall ill. We cannot function. I show you mine, unbroken. I challenge my double to do the same.
Oh god, did you just tear your chest open?
Of course I can show you my heart room, and why not? After I've done so, I'll eliminate this annoyance so that you can complete the Reformation undisturbed, Lord Tsar. I live only to serve you.
Only when he, with the promise of death in his eyes, he opens his shirt. Only when he has done so does he realize his mistake. The wound taken from Zifnab's dragon slashes across his chest, straight through his heart rune. Not only is the rune broken, but much of it is missing.
So much for subterfuge. I prefer to be direct anyway. My lord, you will complete the Reformation. If you do not, I will kill you. It's your choice.
Sangdrax screams in fury, and Tsar motions for you to join him inside the circle. No sooner have you positioned yourself alongside your lord than Sangdrax hisses at both of you, his eyes glowing blood red.
Very well, Dragon. I will continue the Reformation, but only because it suits my purposes as well.
Excellent. Get on with it then.
Get on with it! Tsar takes a moment to ponder his options, then carries the fire seal piece to its spire counterpart. Quickly, he slides the piece into the monolith's face. That very second, the entire island outside of the protective circle where you stand erupts in flame. A storm of fire swirls and batters the ground. Sangdrax, caught in the sudden maelstrom, screams in agony. You quickly lose sight of him behind the curtain of flame. Oh, thanks, boss.
That should take care of our friend, eh? Tell me what's happening here, Haplo. Quickly, if you don't mind. It seems that I have been misinformed. The Reformation is not what I wished it to be. I must change my plans. We will bring about the interconnection. The worlds cannot survive without it. But the Sartan's strength is severely depleted. It is as nothing compared to ours. After we have connected the realms, we shall invade them, wipe them clean of the Sartan influence, and take our rightful place as rulers. Attend me, my son. I've placed the focus over the starting rune of the Reformation. While you gather the remaining seal pieces, I have to move it back to the interconnection starting rune. I'm lucky that my research indicated which rune this was. Otherwise, I might not know how to bring it about.
Tsar squats over the focus, scans the surface of the floor, and prepares to move the floating frame to another rune. Suddenly, Sangdrax's head bursts from the curtain of flame. He has reverted to his original form, that of a fire-breathing dragon, a form completely impervious to the effects of the storm swirling around him. He looses a tongue of flame at Tsar's chest. The blast leaves nothing but a blackened hole, and Tsar slumps to the ground, dead.
Now it's your turn, patron. Unless you decide to be more cooperative than your master.
That went badly. 1280, huh? You press the seal piece into the earth spire. The firestorm disappears, but it is replaced by an avalanche of falling rocks. This distracts Sangdrax, but it doesn't stop him from spewing his fiery breath at you. Well, that one was the wrong one, apparently. Well, that doesn't leave you many options. Sangdrax watches you approach the spire. Familiar now with the end result, he decides to stop you. The dragon rears back and prepares to blast you with a torrent of fire. You leap forward and press the seal piece into the indentation. It crackles and affixes itself to the spire. The firestorm surrounding the protective circle is replaced by a deluge of water. The dragon chokes back his attack with a comic gurgle and disappears behind sheets of rain. You see Sangdrax now deep in the rain. He has discarded the fire-breathing dragon for something that looks like a sea slug, an invertebrate, gelatinous worm shape. It starts to slide towards the protective circle, and you. You're nasty, man. No. I think that... I said cancel. I didn't tell you to do anything. Sangdrax, in the form of a giant gelatinous worm, crawls effortlessly through the sheets of water. Despite its slow speed, it will be on you in moments. You press the seal piece into the earth spire, it crackles, and it fixes itself inside the indentation. The water stops falling and changes into rocks and boulders. They smash into the worm and stop it in its tracks. Soon you lose sight of it behind the curtain of falling earth and rocks. You hear an almost rhythmic thumping and squishing of stone and earth striking the sickeningly soft body of the sea slug. Then it stops. The falling stones strike only the ground as if the worm suddenly disappeared. You peer into the curtain of falling earth and you see smoky tendrils weaving their way in and out of the stone projectiles. Even when one manages to strike the vaporous form, it only dissipates for a moment, and then a ghost-like dragon reforms. A pair of red glowing eyes are the only constant. They float slowly through the earth storm towards the protective circle where you stand. The rocks and boulders fall straight through Sangdrax's vaporous form. Slowly, ominously, he floats towards you. You set the seal piece inside the air spire's indentation. It crackles and affixes itself there. The rocks stop falling, but gale winds rage around the protective circle. It feels as if you are standing in the eye of a tornado. The ghost dragon is caught in this wind. The wind scatters his smoky form until it vanishes.
So, Patron, are we done playing this game? I'm weary of it, and you are without ammunition. It's time for you to die.
Yeah, it kinda is. Isn't this the one it's said to be on? No, it's the... Oh, it's down from it. I'm on the wrong one. Shit fires doggy balls. Well, the problem is I don't think I've got enough to actually make the move. Yeah, I have to reload from the last save. Oh god, it's all the way back here? I didn't save any before that? Wow, I feel like a cock. Enter. Oh, right. Can't. I have to drink the water.
I've been... I can't imagine why you've pursued...
I said crush the stone.
That's all? My... what? Where did the...
He slipped. The poor...
Is your... What... Alright.
Alright, cast magic on myself. And it's got to be that stinking, spell self-immolation. Which is V-fish head goat. I never seem to remember where this one is. Okay. Take everything. Make the garden shears. Go up 1, 2, 3. Use the garden shears, use the garden shears, use the garden shears.
What? Very well. Then should take its seat. We will attend.
Alright, let's throw down a quick save. Okay. You slam the Nexus seal piece into the focus. A column of red fire pours down through the frame and onto a rune below. The fire spreads throughout the platform and ignites a spell. Unfortunately, it's the wrong spell. Really? It is entirely the wrong spell? How the hell does that work? There's a wrong spell? So is it that one? The winds have scattered the Ghost Dragon for good, it seems. You can't find a trace of Sangdrax anywhere. Perhaps the storm has finally taken care of him. What? Oh shit, no, that's the one I just put it over. No, it's not, it's this one. Would you like to go where I'm clicking? Thank you.
So,
I don't even know why they give you an undo there. It's not like you can undo anything and get back into it. As soon as I do this, he's gonna kill me. Yep. So it's a restore. Wow, this sequence is kind of annoying. put the next 160 points. I guess that was the right one. Excuse me.
All out of seal pieces, patron.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. A lot.
I've got one more, dragon.
Mega Buster! Hey, did you forget you can fly, dragon? Guess so. Bye-bye.
When you drop the Nexus seal piece into the focus and ignite the interconnection spell, magic flows through the runes of the island and connects the elemental spires. Sangdrax, unwisely attempting to break through the magic field in order to stop you, confronts the brunt of its power. It proves to be too much, even for the incarnation of evil, and the explosion hurls him into the swirling vortex, hopefully never to be seen again. You've connected the 5 realms. Perhaps now the world can function as planned, and their inhabitants can not only survive, but flourish. Yet you ponder one particular unrealized goal of your Lord, namely the release of your people from the labyrinth. With time, and the aid of the Sartan, you may be able to see this dream fulfilled. But that must wait for another day. You've completed Deathgate. You've saved the realms from a fate worse than death. And while doing all of this, you scored 1,500 out of 1,500 points. Congratulations.
Woot, 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 woot. Do I get a trophy? No, I get the credits, which I already saw because they were at the beginning of the game. According to the walkthrough I just glanced, because I wanted to see if there was a second ending, I was not supposed to actually brute force which tile was the right tile. And I don't know why I got all the points in the game if I, didn't do what I was supposed to do, but you're supposed to cast Resurrect on Lord Zar, so that he can then tell you which tile it's supposed to go over, which of the 6 devils is supposed to, he basically tells you soul, hand, eye, mind, tongue, something. And then you're supposed to go back to a list he gave you earlier, figure out which of the 6 Sartrans that was, and then put it over that person's tile and start the spell. That's why I had no idea where it was supposed to go, because I didn't know which of it was. So somehow I solved the game without actually finishing the final puzzle. I guess it gave me the points for doing that. I don't think that guy actually ever appears in the game. That's Balthazar. I'm old. And that concludes Deathgate, which is actually based on a short series of novels, and I say short in that I think it's 9 of them, ranging from the early 80s to a few years ago. Carr says they're not bad, and he's read the first 1 or 2, I think. They're supposed to be pretty good novels, if a little heavy, and, well, Hoplow's not nearly as nice a guy in the books from what I've gathered. He's kind of a dickhead. It takes him much longer to pick up on the fact that Lord Zar is a dickweed. Hi, Liam Neeson. I'm Liam Neeson, and I'm going to save everyone, and I sound like Gandalf. A bunch of voice actors who never did anything else. A number of these characters do actually appear in the books, and they're, from what I could gather from the summaries, they're actually pretty close. At least the first one, the Kixie Winsey, the dwarves, all that stuff, are in the first book, and the second book, third book, and it covers the first few books. They changed his sprite when you actually run into him. He doesn't have that weird piggy nose. Miscellaneous Child. Dead Dwarf, who they don't bother naming even though they do name him in at least one place. I think, I don't remember. Nobody on here is of any note. Yep, this is Legend Entertainment. We're kind of going to, over the course of time, gouge through all of their games, well, at least their point-and-click adventure games. Their text adventure or text entry games, their interactive fiction is really thick. Yes, and also the makers of the masterpiece Callahan's Cross Time Saloon, which was really good. I liked Callahan's. Callahan's had better writing, I think. Josh Mandel really kind of sold that project. Deathgate kind of just feels tepid, really. It never gets going. and all of a sudden it ends. The last two worlds are really fast. The water world and the Nexus or the Vortex, just they're like 6 screens each. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I'm not really impressed. I'm kind of disappointed actually that it already ended, because I was hoping to go a couple more hours. Dad's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna go like 8 hours again, yeah. And no. So anyway, that's all I got planned for you today, guys. I hope you had a good couple of hours hanging out. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for stopping by. I don't know what's going on tomorrow. I honestly hadn't planned that yet, but I don't plan my games too far ahead, so maybe we'll do something a little more action-y tomorrow. And we'll jump around and shoot some people. I'll play Duke Nukem Forever. That'll scare everyone off now. I've actually been thinking about showing off Vindictus maybe with Carr if he's awake or something else. I really want to play some Monster Hunter Tri, because I haven't played that in like forever. But I'm missing all my Wiimotes. They all disappeared on me, so hey. Yeah, we'll play some Super Mario Brothers that nobody's ever seen that game before. Excuse me, jeez, I don't know where that came from. But I'm going to dig through my archive and my big stacks of CDs, and if anybody has anything they ever want to suggest, don't forget, just send me a private message via Twitch, and I will give it my full attention, which may be my partial attention, because my partial attention may be all the full attention I've got. No. The Super Mario World Record speedrun, no warp zones, is like 9 minutes. I've seen it, and it is positively screamingly fast. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. It's been a pleasure having you, and there's a rainstorm coming into my neck of the woods real fast. I'm watching the sky go black, and we will be back tomorrow with a game that happens to feature gameplay. Isn't that amazing? Whoa, something going crazy. And until then, when I see you again, I will see you again, and may whatever you believe in lead you to a happy ending. Good night on behalf of myself and the congregation.